Hello everyone, and welcome to Dead Time Stories. Tonight, the storm outside isn't the only thing brewing. True tales so chilling they'll make your skin crawl, yet so mesmerizing you won't be able to turn away. But here's the twist. That distant thunder isn't just atmosphere. It's the key to unlocking your deepest sleep. So before you drift off, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get comfortable, relax, and dive into tonight's story. The storm had a way of erasing the world. The road stretched behind you like a ribbon sinking into black water, gone in the sheets of rain. Your boots slipped in the mud, every step dragging, but still you pressed forward because there was nowhere else to go. The flashlight in your hand flickered with each gust of wind, its thin beam swallowed by the storm's belly. You told yourself you were simply lost. That was safer than admitting the truth that gnawed in the back of your mind. The road didn't feel like it belonged to any map. It seemed to pull you deeper, bending in directions you hadn't chosen, carrying you forward like a conveyor belt of mud and shadow. Then the lightning came, tearing the sky in half. For the briefest heartbeat, you saw it, a house, thin and tall, leaning as though time itself had worn it down. The shape of its roof was jagged against the storm clouds. Windows stared hollow and black. Shelter. The word beat in your head with every step. Shelter or nothing. By the time you reached the porch, your coat clung heavy as lead. The boards beneath your boots sagged with a wet groan. A shutter banged upstairs, slamming against siding like a fist. The front door stood slightly ajar, not swung wide, not flung open by the wind, but waiting. You froze. Something about that thin crack unsettled you. Storms battered doors shut. Storms didn't open them. Thunder rolled. The wind shoved you forward, and you climbed the steps. Your hand hovered over the door, shaking with cold and with something else, something quieter. Fear. When you pushed it, the hinges moaned like a sigh. The air that met you was stale and dusty, layered with the faintest scent of old smoke. Your flashlight beam darted across peeling wallpaper, bare walls with pale outlines where frames once hung, and deep gouges carved into the floorboards. There was no furniture, no life, just emptiness. And yet you knew with the bone-deep certainty of instinct, you were not alone. Somewhere in the dark, a single floorboard creaked. "Hello?" Your voice cracked the silence, thin and uncertain. It sounded smaller than you meant it to, as though the house had swallowed half of it before it could reach the walls. You cleared your throat and tried again. "Is someone here?" No answer. Only the storm raging against the roof, rattling the window frames. But the creak had been too deliberate, too precise to be the house settling. It had been a step. You swallowed hard, sweeping the flashlight's beam across the parlor. Dust swirled in the light, dancing like ash. The corners of the room seemed too deep, shadows clinging where they shouldn't. "Look, I just need to get out of the storm," you said, speaking to no one and to whoever might be listening. "I'm not here to cause trouble. Just for a little while." Your own words comforted you less than you'd hoped. The beam landed on the staircase at the far end of the parlor. Narrow, steep steps led upward into darkness, and halfway up, you swore you saw movement, a shift, like fabric pulled out of sight. You blinked, held the light steady, but there was nothing. Only shadows draped across the railing. You tried to breathe evenly. Tried to convince yourself it was your imagination. Storms did strange things to the mind. But the truth lingered sharp in your chest. The house was listening. And then, from somewhere above, a voice drifted down. Low. Hoarse. A whisper. "Don't stay." The beam shook in your hand. Your breath caught at the sound. It was so faint you wondered if you had imagined it, words woven into the sigh of the storm. But no, you were certain, "Don't stay." You raised the flashlight toward the staircase, its beam trembling across the dust-caked steps. "Hello?" you called, your voice sharp, louder than before. "Who's there?" Nothing. The shadows held steady. The silence, however, seemed deeper now, the kind that presses against your skin, waiting. You gripped the banister and listened. The storm thundered above the roof. Water dripped rhythmically somewhere in the parlor. But beneath it all, the faintest scrape, a shuffle, like bare feet dragging along the upper floor. Your heart pounded against your ribs. Instinct told you to leave, to step back into the storm and take your chances with the lightning. Yet something rooted you to the spot. A strange pull, like the house itself wanted you to climb, wanted you to hear what else it had to say. "I don't want any trouble," you said again, more to steady yourself than for anyone listening. I'll just be here until the rain passes." Your words fell flat, swallowed by the hush. And then, softly, distinctly, one of the upstairs doors clicked shut. You froze. It had been precise, deliberate, nothing like the moan of old wood. Against every reasonable instinct, you began to climb. 1 step. 2. The boards sagged beneath your weight, protesting with groans that echoed through the house. The beam of your flashlight wavered over peeling wallpaper, the curve of the railing, the shadows pulled at the top of the stairs. Halfway up, you paused, forcing your breath steady. "If someone's here," you said into the silence, "you should say something. I don't mean any harm." The house held its breath. And then, low and rasping, the whisper came again, this time closer. "You shouldn't be here." The words drifted from behind the nearest closed door at the top of the stairs. The voice seemed to seep through the wood, so close you almost felt its breath on your cheek. You froze on the staircase, your knuckles widening around the banister. The door at the top of the stairs was unremarkable. A plain wooden slab, its paint chipped, its brass knob dulled with years of grime. Yet it carried the weight of something immense. Your flashlight beam hovered on it, and you called out, though your voice cracked under the strain. "Who are you?" Silence. The storm hammered at the windows, rattling the panes in their frames. Somewhere deep in the house, water dripped steadily, like a clock counting down. You took another step upward, your footfall loud in the hollow quiet. "Do you live here?" you asked, the words tumbling out, desperate for anything human in reply. I just need shelter, I swear." A pause. Then, faintly, as if spoken with a mouth pressed directly against the wood. "You should have kept walking." Your stomach nodded. The words were not angry, not even cruel. They carried something worse, pity. The air seemed colder near the top step. Your breath misted in front of you, though you knew the storm outside was warm. You reached the landing, your light shaking as you raised it toward the knob. It twitched. You jerked back. The knob had turned, only slightly, but enough to scrape metal against metal. The door shuddered, then stilled. Your pulse thundered in your ears. Every instinct screamed at you to run, to throw yourself down the stairs and back into the storm. But you couldn't. Something about the door, something about the voice, held you captive. Slowly, with hands that trembled despite your effort to steady them, you reached out. Your fingers brushed the knob. Cold shot up your arm, so sharp it felt like needles piercing your skin. You clenched your jaw, twisted, and pulled. The door creaked open into darkness. The flashlight beam cut across a small bedroom. The walls were bare, the wallpaper bubbled and peeling. A narrow bed stood in the center of the room, frame rusted, sheets thin and yellowed with age. And beneath the sheets, something shifted. The rise and fall of breath. The shape turned toward you. The beam of your flashlight trembled across the bed. The sheets were threadbare, patched with stains that looked too dark to be from age alone. They shifted again, slow, deliberate. The shape beneath them rolled, facing you fully now. You froze. You couldn't see a face, only the curve of a head pressing against the fabric, the outline of shoulders rising and sinking. The sound of breathing filled the room, ragged and uneven, like someone drowning on dry land. "Who are you?" you whispered, the words escaping before you could swallow them back. The breathing stopped. The shape stilled entirely, the silence collapsing around you like a sudden void. You stepped back toward the doorframe, keeping the beam fixed on the bed, afraid that if you looked away even for an instant, the figure would move. The sheets fell flat. No bulge. No body. Just the fabric sagging over the bare frame. Your throat went dry. The flashlight shook harder in your hand, painting erratic shapes along the walls. You wanted to believe it had been a trick, That the storm, your fear, the shadows had all conspired against you. But you knew what you had seen. The rise and fall. The turn toward you. Behind you, something clicked. You spun around, heart pounding. The door across the hallway had opened just a crack, wide enough for darkness to spill through. The house was leading you. You clutched the banister, grounding yourself. "This isn't funny," you said into the silence. Your voice broke, but you forced it louder. "If someone's here, show yourself. Stop hiding." A pause. Then, from the cracked doorway, a voice answered, soft, childlike. "Don't make them angry." Your skin prickled. You stepped backward into the hall, the bedroom now behind you, the second door ahead. You could feel the storm shaking the windows, demanding escape, but the house wanted you deeper. And with every step, you felt more certain you weren't the one exploring. You were being shown. The crack in the doorway was narrow, yet the darkness beyond seemed alive. You could feel it pressing out, meeting the weak glow of your flashlight, swallowing its edges. The voice, the child's voice, still clung to the air, brittle as a cobweb. "Don't make them angry!" Your pulse drummed in your ears. You swallowed, tried to wet your dry throat, and managed to say, "Who's angry?" Silence. You edged closer, each step heavy as though the floorboards themselves were reluctant to carry you forward. The door creaked slightly wider, no hand visible on the knob, just that slow, soundless movement. The beam of your flashlight caught the inside of the room. A nursery. Or what was left of one. The wallpaper peeled in strips, its pattern of faded balloons and stars almost lost beneath water stains. A crib sat crooked in the corner, one side broken so it slumped at an angle. A rocking horse sagged with rot, its paint long since flaked away. Dust blanketed everything, but not evenly. There were streaks, marks where small fingers might have dragged through. You raised the light toward the crib, and your breath hitched. Tiny handprints, smeared in dust along the rail. Fresh. The rocking horse creaked, moving slightly back and forth, though the air was still. You stumbled a step back, your light flashing across the walls. For the briefest instant, you thought you saw something crouched in the corner, small, thin, folded tight into the shadows. But when you focused, it was gone. "I didn't mean to wake you," you whispered, unsure why you were speaking at all, only that the silence demanded to be filled. I just need a place until the storm ends." The rocking horse stopped. The air thickened. From the crib came the faintest sound, not quite a laugh, not quite a sob, something in between. Then, right beside your ear, close enough to feel the breath. "They're coming." You spun, flashlight jerking wildly across the hallway. Nothing. Only the empty landing, the gaping doorway to the room you'd left behind. But the words kept ringing in your head. "They're coming." And for the first time, you felt certain, whoever they were, you would not want to meet them. You stood frozen in the hallway, your breath shallow, every muscle tense. The whisper still lingered in your ear, though no one was there. "They're coming." "Who's coming?" you demanded, your voice too loud, echoing down the corridor. "Who's here?" The only reply was the storm clawing at the windows, rattling them in their frames. You held your flashlight steady, sweeping across the peeling walls and sagging floorboards, searching for movement, for proof that you weren't unraveling. The beam landed on a long mirror propped against the far end of the hall. Its surface was clouded with dust, yet still reflective enough to show your silhouette, shaking, pale, and small in the vast emptiness. You raised the light higher, and for a moment your reflection blurred, distorting. There was someone behind you. You spun so fast your shoulder struck the wall. Nothing. Only the nursery, the bedchamber, the staircase leading down into shadow. Your light caught no movement, no figure. When you turned back to the mirror, you were alone in its glass once more. Your voice trembled when you spoke. "I don't want any part of this. I just want to leave." The mirror rattled, a tremor running through its frame. A fissure cut down its center with a sound like splitting bone, though no storm wind had touched it. The crack spread slowly, deliberately, until the glass fractured into two halves. From within that broken reflection, another voice rose, Not the whisper of a child, not the pitying rasp from the door, but something deeper. A chorus, as if many mouths spoke at once through the same throat. "You cannot leave! Not now! Not while the house is awake!" The words throbbed in your skull, heavier than sound, almost physical. Your knees buckled under their weight. You staggered back, your flashlight slipping from your grip. It rolled across the floor, the beam spinning wildly until it landed on the cracked mirror again. The reflection was no longer yours. Pale faces pressed against the inside of the glass, crowding, silent. Their mouths opened, their eyes black and hollow, as though the mirror were a window and they had been waiting for it to break. And then, one by one, their lips moved in unison. "They are coming." The beam flickered. The storm roared. From somewhere downstairs came the sound of the front door slamming shut. The slam of the front door echoed through the house like a cannon blast. You jolted, your heart thudding against your ribs. The sound reverberated along the hollow walls, rolling up through the staircase, as though the whole structure had shuddered awake. Your flashlight still lay on its side, casting a slanted beam across the cracked mirror. The faces inside it pressed closer, distorted by fractured glass. Cheeks warped. Eyes pulled into black smears. Their mouths moved soundlessly now, opening wider, as if swallowing the silence itself. With shaking hands, you retrieved the light. The beam stuttered as it passed over the mirror, and for the briefest instant, one of the faces shifted its gaze. It looked directly at you. You stumbled back, colliding with the wall. "What do you want?" you gasped. The faces blurred, melded together until they were a single pale shape, featureless but for a gaping mouth. From it came a hiss, not through your ears, but into your bones. "Stay." The word coiled around your chest, heavy as chains. You fought to breathe, shaking your head, whispering, "No, no, I'm leaving." You turned toward the stairs, but before you could take a step, a shadow slid across the landing. Not cast by your light, not born of the storm, but thick and solid. It stretched along the wall, then broke apart into several smaller shapes, each moving independently, like figures crawling from beneath the floorboards. From the nursery came the sound of the rocking horse creaking again, only faster now, as though pushed by invisible hands. From the bedroom, the sheets rustled, writhing as if many bodies now occupied the bed. And from the mirror, cracks split wider, shards clattering to the floor. Through the gaps, pale fingers began to push. You clutched the flashlight tighter, its beam flaring wildly across the hallway. "Stop!" you cried, though your voice was nothing against the chorus of groans, whispers, and creaks rising from every room. Then, a voice cut through them all, clear, desperate, human. "Don't look at them! Over here!" You swung the light toward the staircase. At the bottom, a figure stood in the shadows, a man, soaked from the storm, his face pale but unmistakably alive. He beckoned urgently. "Hurry before they notice you!" Your throat tightened. For a moment, you thought the house was playing another trick, that the figure at the bottom of the stairs was nothing more than another reflection given form. But his voice, it had a crack in it, raw with panic. It felt real in a way the whispers did not. You hesitated, frozen between horrors, the mirror splitting wider, pale hands pushing through, the nursery rattling with unseen play, the sheets on the bed writhing as though alive. "Move!" the man barked, his voice carrying over the storm. "Don't let them get all the way through!" That was enough. You bolted down the steps, boots thundering on the warped boards. The flashlight beam jounced wildly, slicing across peeling wallpaper, the rotted banister, the man's pale, drawn face. He caught you halfway down, grabbing your arm. His grip was ice cold, trembling, but strong. Up close, you saw the lines etched deep into his face, the scruff of weeks-old beard, the way his eyes darted upward toward the landing. "Quiet!" he hissed. "Don't let them know where you are." You stared at him, chest heaving. What are they?" His jaw tightened. "You don't want to know." "Not yet." The house groaned, a long, guttural sound that shivered through the walls. Upstairs, something crashed. The mirror, perhaps, finally shattering fully. The noise was followed by the unmistakable sound of bare feet slapping against the floorboards. They were moving. The man pulled you down the last few steps, dragging you toward the kitchen. His grip was desperate, almost bruising. "We can't stay in the open," he muttered. "They'll see you." "Who are you?" you whispered, resisting only slightly. "Name's Aaron," he said, keeping his voice low. "Been stuck in this place longer than I care to admit. You don't survive here by asking questions, you survive by listening." "Listening to what?" "To the house." He shoved open a narrow door at the back of the parlor, revealing a cramped passageway that smelled of damp earth. "Basement," he explained. "Not safe, but safer than here. Come on." Behind you, the upstairs hallway erupted in whispers, hundreds of them, layered, overlapping, all speaking your name. The narrow passage swallowed you in darkness. The storm's fury above dimmed, muffled by the thick wood and stone, leaving only the thud of your boots and the rasp of Aaron's breath. The smell grew stronger as you descended, damp earth, mildew, and something sharper, metallic. Your flashlight beam cut across rough stone walls. Pipes jutted from the ceiling, dripping rust-colored water that pattered into shallow puddles on the steps. Each drip echoed too loudly, like drops of blood in a cavern. "Keep quiet," Aaron whispered over his shoulder. "They hunt by sound first, then sight." You gripped the flashlight tighter, trying to control the trembling of your hand. "What are they?" you whispered back, unable to stop yourself. Aaron paused at the bottom of the steps, his profile lit faintly by your beam. His eyes were hollow, tired, older than his face suggested. "They're the house," he said. "Or what's left of it. Doesn't matter what you call them, they want you to stay. Forever." The words chilled you, but before you could ask more, he pushed the door open. The basement stretched wide, its low ceiling hung with beams blackened by age. Dust choked the air, stirred by your steps. Old shelves lined the walls, cluttered with broken jars, rusted tools, and boxes swollen with damp. In the center stood a table, its wood warped, its surface scarred with deep grooves, as though something had clawed at it. Aaron guided you toward the far corner, where crates had been stacked into a rough barricade. Behind them sat a lantern, its flame faint but steady, casting a weak orange glow. "This is where I've been hiding," he murmured. "Not safe, but they don't like the flame. Buys us time." You crouched beside him, your heart still pounding. "Why me? Why now?" He let out a humorless laugh, low and bitter. "That's the question I asked when I stumbled in during a storm, same as you. House doesn't let go once it's got you." The silence stretched, broken only by the drip of water from the ceiling. Then, scraping. From the stairs you just descended, soft at first, then heavier. Footsteps. Aaron's hand shot out, gripping your arm. His eyes blazed with sudden urgency. "They found us," he whispered. "And they never come this fast." The lantern flame guttered, shrinking as if the air itself had been stolen. The lantern's glow dimmed until it was no stronger than a dying ember. Shadows thickened along the basement walls, stretching long, bending in ways that light should not allow. The scrape of footsteps on the stairs grew louder, deliberate, as though whoever, or whatever, descended knew exactly where you were. Aaron cursed under his breath, fumbling with the lantern's knob. "Stay lit, damn you," he hissed, shaking it gently. The flame sputtered, briefly brightening before shrinking again, like it was being smothered by unseen hands. Your flashlight beams swept across the basement. The shelves seemed to shiver, tools rattling softly as though moved by a draft. But there was no draft. The air was too heavy, too still. "What do we do?" you whispered, voice trembling. Aaron's jaw clenched. "We wait. We don't move. If the light dies completely, don't scream. That's what they want." Your mouth went dry. The words "don't scream" repeated in your mind, becoming a warning and a curse. The footsteps reached the bottom step. Silence followed. A silence so deep you felt it in your bones, pressing against your ears, threatening to burst your head. Then, from the far side of the basement, the shadows detached from the wall. They peeled away like wet paper, stretching upward, their forms vaguely human but twisted, elongated arms, heads bent at impossible angles. They moved without sound, gliding across the floor toward the lantern's glow. Aaron grabbed your sleeve, pulling you tighter into the barricade of crates. "Don't look too long," he whispered. "They notice when you notice." But you couldn't look away. The figures circled the lantern, their shapes bending and unraveling in the flicker of light. One of them crouched low, its face, or what passed for one, leaning close to the flame. You saw only darkness, but within it glimmered the faintest suggestion of eyes. The lantern flared, bright for an instant, and the shadow recoiled with a hiss that rattled the shelves. The flame fought back, growing steady again. Aaron exhaled sharply. "Still holds them," he muttered. But even as he spoke, you heard something else. A whisper, slithering just behind your ear, though Aaron was right beside you. "Lanterns die. But we don't." The whisper coiled around your spine like cold fingers. You whipped your head toward the sound, but nothing stood behind you, only the crates, the damp wall, and Aaron's grim profile lit by the lantern's struggling glow. "You heard that, right?" you breathed. Aaron's eyes flicked toward you, hard and sharp. "Don't answer them. That's how they pull you in." "But—" "Quiet." His grip tightened on your wrist. His skin was ice-cold, clammy, but his strength was undeniable. "They'll mimic. Children. Loved ones. Anyone they think will break you. But none of it's real." Your heart hammered. The whisper returned, sliding along the edges of your mind. This time it wasn't a stranger's voice. It was your mother's. "Sweetheart, it's me. You're safe now. Come into the dark." Just for a moment. You clamped a hand over your mouth, choking back a sound that was equal parts sob and laugh. Aaron's gaze lingered on you, narrowing. "They've chosen you," he muttered. "Means they're getting stronger." The lantern flared again, but this time the light distorted the basement. The shelves seemed to stretch higher, the shadows more grotesque, their shapes writhing and clawing against the floor. The hissing grew louder, an orchestra of rage kept at bay by a single thread of fire. Aaron pulled something from his coat pocket, a stub of candle, broken and warped. "Back up," he said quickly, striking a match. "But it won't last long." The shadows froze at the sight of the spark, retreating slightly. The flame caught, small but defiant. Then the whispers overlapped, rising into a chorus. Dozens of voices, each familiar in a different way. Friends. Family. Strangers you'd passed on the street. Some laughing. Some sobbing. All of them calling your name. Your chest ached. The sound was unbearable, each word tugging at you, peeling at your mind. Aaron leaned close, his whisper fierce and urgent. "Don't listen. Don't ever listen. If you answer them, the house keeps you." The lantern guttered, almost dying. The candle flame bent sideways, as though drawn towards something unseen. And from the staircase above came the sound of a door opening. Slowly. Deliberately. Someone else was in the house. The groan of the door drifted down the stairwell, long and heavy, like the house sighing awake. You and Aaron froze, the candle flame trembling between you. The shadows in the basement hissed at the sound, as though angered that something else had entered. Aaron's jaw tightened. He leaned close, his words barely audible. "We're not alone down here anymore." The door above slammed shut. Then silence. You strained to listen, every muscle taut. The storm had dulled, its rage muted by the walls and earth. All that remained was the faint drip of water from the pipes, the brittle crackle of the candle, and, so soft you almost missed it, the rhythm of footsteps above. They weren't in a hurry. They moved slowly, carefully, as though whoever walked the upper floors didn't want to be heard. You swallowed. "Another person?" Aaron shook his head. "If it is, they won't be for long." The candle flame leaned suddenly to the right, pointing like a compass needle. Both of you turned toward the far corner of the basement. A doorway sat there, half collapsed, leading into a passage you hadn't noticed before. The bricks around it were dark, damp with rot, and the air seeping from the gap smelled sharp, coppery. Aaron's eyes narrowed. That wasn't open before. The footsteps above stopped. Directly over your heads. The shadows by the lantern hissed louder, recoiling toward the walls. They melted upward, stretching across the ceiling beams, trying to escape whatever pressed down from above. Aaron grabbed your arm. We move! Now! He yanked you toward the hidden passage. You stumbled behind him, the beam of your flashlight jerking across the clutter of shelves and crates. The shadows shrieked in a chorus, retreating into the cracks, their whispers rising to a pitch that rattled the glass jars on the shelves. As Aaron pushed you through the collapsed doorway, you risked one glance back. The ceiling above the basement bulged outward, as though something heavy pressed from the other side. Dust rained down. A slow crack spread across the beams. And then, from the splintering wood, a hand pushed through. Pale. Thin. Fingernails scraping. Aaron shoved you through the broken doorway first. You scraped against damp brick, the edges sharp against your coat. The air inside the passage was close and stifling, thick with the metallic tang of rust, or blood. Your flashlight beam caught narrow walls that seemed to close in the further it stretched. Behind you, the basement groaned under the weight of the thing pressing through the ceiling. Wood snapped like brittle bones. The pale hand clawed wider, splinters jutting from its fingers as though the house itself had fused into its flesh. Go! Aaron barked, shoving you again. His voice echoed harshly in the confined tunnel. You stumbled forward, the ground uneven, stones jutting like broken teeth. The air was colder here, biting your skin with each breath. The passage bent sharply, leading you into deeper blackness. Aaron followed close, the glow of his candle throwing grotesque shadows along the walls. This isn't supposed to be here, he muttered, more to himself than to you. The house is changing. Changing how? You gasped. He didn't answer. The tunnel sloped downward, each step pulling you further beneath the earth. Drips echoed from the ceiling, falling on your shoulders, icy against your skin. When your flashlight caught the droplets, they glistened red. You froze. Aaron! Don't stop. He shoved past you, lifting the candle higher. The light revealed what the drops came from, cracks in the ceiling, oozing liquid thicker than water. The smell was unmistakable. It wasn't rain. The tunnel opened suddenly into a chamber. The walls here were carved stone, marked with shallow grooves that spiraled in patterns you couldn't recognize. Piles of rotted wood and broken crates littered the ground, and at the far end stood something that made your stomach twist. A door. Unlike the rest of the passage, this one was intact, heavy, iron-banded, its surface etched with the same spirals carved into the stone. It pulsed faintly, as though a heartbeat lived inside it. Aaron stopped, his face pale in the candlelight. I've never seen this before. Before you could speak, a thunderous crack echoed behind you. The thing in the basement had forced its way through. The sound of splintering beams and shrieking shadows carried down the tunnel like a death knell. The iron door shuddered. Something on the other side knocked. The knock echoed through the chamber, low and deliberate. Not frantic. Not violent. Just steady, like someone asking politely to be let inside. You and Aaron froze. The candlelight wavered between you, shadows trembling across the carved stone walls. A second knock followed. Louder. Aaron swore under his breath, clutching the candle closer. That door's wrong, he said. His voice cracked, betraying fear. It's new. I've walked this basement 100 times. This wasn't here. Your flashlight beam lingered on the spirals etched into the iron. They seemed to move when you looked too long, twisting inward like drains pulling you deeper. The faint pulsing beneath the metal was real. You could feel it in the floor, thudding in rhythm with your heartbeat. Another knock. This time, the sound carried a voice with it. Muffled, distorted, but undeniably human. Please let me out. You stumbled back a step, nearly tripping on the uneven stones. There's someone in there. Aaron's head snapped toward you, his expression fierce. No. That's what it wants you to think. Don't you get it? The house builds doors to things you're not supposed to open. The walls groaned behind you. Dust rained down from the cracks. The thing in the basement was closer, dragging itself through the passage. You could hear its claws scraping along the stone, the shriek of nails splitting rock. The voice behind the iron door came again, more desperate. "It's so dark, please. I can't breathe." You pressed your hands over your ears, but the words burrowed in anyway, filling your skull, vibrating in your bones. Aaron stepped between you and the door, his candlelight throwing him into sharp relief. "Listen to me," he said, urgent now. "You open that, you'll wish you were dead. The thing behind us, bad as it is, it's just a fragment. But that door?" He shook his head, eyes wide. "That's the heart." The iron shuddered violently, the heartbeat inside quickening. The voice screamed. High. Piercing. Human. "Help me!" At the same instant, the tunnel behind you split with a wet, tearing sound. A pale arm, long and boneless, slithered across the stones. Clawed fingers curled around the entrance. You were trapped between two hungers. The chamber pulsed with two rhythms now, the steady thump of the door's heartbeat, and the dragging scrape of the thing forcing its way through the tunnel behind. You stood caught in the middle, your flashlight beam bouncing between horrors. The pale arm clawed forward another foot, boneless yet strong, joints bending in ways that made your stomach lurch. Its fingers sank into the stone like wet clay, pulling the rest of its body closer. You couldn't see its face yet, only the suggestion of a head rising behind the jagged rocks. But the air grew foul as it drew nearer, like rot left too long in the summer sun. Aaron swore, clutching the candle like it was a weapon. The flame danced wildly, fighting the oppressive air pressing into the chamber. "We have to move," he hissed. "Now. Away from both of them." But there was nowhere else to go. The chamber had only two exits, the tunnel behind, now clogged with the slithering thing, and the iron door ahead, pulsing faster and harder with every second. Dust fell from the ceiling in fine streams as though the chamber itself was struggling to hold together. The voice behind the door screamed again, so human, so raw that it ripped straight through your chest. "Don't leave me here! Please, please, I'll die!" You covered your ears, but the words burrowed deeper, taking root in your thoughts. What if it really was someone? What if the house had swallowed them alive, sealed them in this iron coffin, waiting for someone to open it? Your knees buckled under the weight of indecision. Aaron saw it, his eyes blazing. "Don't listen! That's how it works. Makes you doubt, makes you pity, until you undo yourself." He seized your shoulder, shaking you. "Do you want to be like me? Trapped here forever? Because that's what happens if you open that door." Behind you, the creature's head finally pressed into view. Its skin was stretched taut, pale as wax, its mouth too wide, splitting its face from cheek to cheek. Black liquid poured from its teeth as it grinned, dragging itself closer. The iron door rattled, the spirals glowing faintly now, light bleeding from the cracks. The heartbeat grew thunderous. The voice sobbed, broken. "Don't let them take me! Don't let them take me too!" The chamber tilted, the air vibrating, the choice choking you. Forward. Or back. The chamber shook as though caught in an earthquake. Stones rattled loose from the ceiling, clattering onto the floor. The heartbeat behind the iron door thundered, drowning out even the storm above. Aaron's face glistened with sweat in the candlelight, his eyes wide with desperation. "We don't open that door!" he shouted over the din. "We hold the barricade. We push back the thing behind us, but we never open it." The pale creature squeezed further into the room, its body bending like liquid, limbs contorting as it slithered through the tunnel. Its grin widened impossibly, teeth glistening with black ichor. Each drag of its claws left grooves in the stone. The voice from the door wailed, raw with terror. "I hear it! I hear it coming! Don't let it take me! You can save me!" The words tore at you, a hook in your chest pulling you forward. The flashlight beam quivered on the spiraled carvings, and for a moment you thought you saw faces inside them, mouths open in silent screams. Aaron grabbed your wrist, his grip bruising. "It's not real! Whatever's inside, it's older than this house. It built this place around itself." You open it, you let it out. The chamber roared. The creature hissed, its neck twisting unnaturally as it lunged another few feet closer. Its nails scraped sparks against the stone. The door hammered once, twice, the spirals glowing brighter with each pulse. The voice sobbed, whispering now, almost gentle. I know you. I know your name. Don't leave me here. Your blood ran cold. It did know your name. Aaron shoved you hard toward the wall, forcing your eyes away from the door. Decide. Either we stand against that thing, or you damn us both. The candle guttered violently, its flame bending toward the iron door as though drawn to it. The shadows in the chamber retreated into the cracks, hissing. The choice split your mind. Throw yourself against the tunnel, fight alongside Aaron, and pray the creature could be driven back. Or open the door, free whatever waited inside, and gamble that the voice was telling the truth. Your hand hovered. Your breath burned. The chamber gave a final shudder. You had to choose. The chamber quaked as if the house itself held its breath, waiting for you to act. Dust swirled through the air, glowing faintly in the trembling candlelight. The pale creature hissed, dragging its body further into the room. Its grin was wider now, split almost to its ears, black ichor spilling in ropes onto the stone. Aaron shoved you toward the tunnel wall. His own body braced against the advancing horror. Choose! He barked. His voice cracked, hoarse from fear. If we fight now. Don't even think about that door. But the door pulsed harder. Each thud of its heartbeat reverberated in your chest, in your skull, drowning out Aaron's words. The spirals writhed, glowing like molten veins. And the voice was no longer a scream, but a whisper, calm and intimate, threading itself through your thoughts. I can stop it. Just open the door. One push, and it's over. Your knees buckled. Aaron, it knows my name, you rasped, barely recognizing your own voice. How can it know? Because it's been waiting for you. Aaron snapped. He pressed the candle forward, the flame flaring briefly brighter. The creature shrieked, recoiling an inch, its skin blistering where the light touched. The house makes it personal. Don't let it win! The thing hissed louder, black ichor boiling as it pulled itself fully into the chamber. Its limbs split and doubled, sprouting new joints. It scraped closer, faster, drawn by your trembling indecision. The door rattled, chains clanging from within. The whisper rose again, sweeter now, promising. You won't be alone. Not ever again. The spirals flared with blinding light. For a moment you saw Aaron's face bathed in it, his eyes wide with horror, not at the creature but at you. Don't, he breathed. Not a command this time. A plea. Your hand moved. Whether you meant it or not, it landed on cold iron. The spirals burned beneath your palm, searing, alive. The heartbeat quickened. The candle extinguished. And in the instant of total darkness, you heard it. The sound of locks snapping open, one after another, echoing through the chamber like the laughter of something vast. Aaron's scream tore the silence. The door began to open. The iron groaned, a deep, ancient sound that rattled the chamber. The spirals blazed with light as the door cracked open, spilling a glow that wasn't warm like fire but sharp, sterile, like lightning frozen in metal. Aaron lunged for you, grabbing your arm. His face twisted with fury and terror. What have you done? He shouted, his voice drowned beneath the thunder of snapping chains. The door yawned wider, dust and pebbles raining down from the ceiling. The heartbeat you'd felt in your chest stopped suddenly, replaced by silence so absolute it hurt your ears. Then breath. Something on the other side exhaled, and the chamber filled with cold. Your flashlight flickered, the beam sputtering as though suffocated by the air itself. Aaron shoved you back. Don't look, he barked. He pressed himself against the door, straining to hold it shut, though it moved as if pushed by an invisible tide. Run! Get out while you can! But you couldn't move. Not yet. Because you saw it. A hand emerged, pale and delicate, its skin flawless, unmarred, the nails perfectly shaped. It rested against the doorframe, gentle as though feeling the world for the first time. then another hand, and then a face. It was yours. Your own face leaned into the light, eyes soft, lips curved in the faintest smile. "Thank you," it whispered. Your voice, but smoother, colder. Aaron cursed, pushing harder against the iron, his body trembling with strain. "Don't listen! It's not you! It's never you!" But the figure, yourself, stepped free, the spirals on the door branding its skin with faint, glowing lines. It regarded you with tenderness, tilting its head as though studying a reflection. "I know what you've lost," it murmured. "What you ache for. I can give it back." The pale creature in the tunnel shrieked, retreating from the light spilling through the doorway. Its grin faltered, its limbs recoiling. Even the shadows hissed, melting deeper into the cracks. Whatever you had freed was stronger than all of them. Aaron's knees buckled, the door pushing open another inch. His voice broke with despair. "You don't understand. If it walks free, the house feeds. On everyone. On everything." Your double reached a hand toward you. Its smile widened, kind and cruel all at once. "Take my hand," it whispered, "and you'll never fear the dark again." Your breath snagged in your throat as the figure stepped closer. It was you, utterly, impossibly you. Every line of your face, every curve of your mouth, even the faint scar you knew along your wrist. Yet it moved differently. Graceful. Certain. Like a perfected version wearing your skin. Aaron staggered away from the door, his strength broken. He stared at the double with naked dread. "Don't touch it," he rasped. His candle, long dead, hung useless in his shaking hand. "For God's sake, don't touch it." Your double smiled, tilting its head in a way you never did. The spirals carved into its arms glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with some unseen force. When it spoke, its voice slid into your ears like honey poured into cracks. "I've waited for you," it said. "Trapped behind walls that shouldn't exist. You opened the door because you know you need me. You need what I can give." The pale creature in the tunnel let out a low hiss, slinking back like a beaten dog. Its grin had collapsed into something more fearful now. It scrabbled along the stone, desperate to retreat from the light of your double's presence. Aaron's voice cut through, hoarse but fierce. "That thing is not you. It's what the house shows. It's bait. You think it looks like you, but wait long enough." He pointed a shaking hand at the figure. "You'll see what it really is." Your double ignored him, its gaze locked to yours. It extended its hand again, patient. "Come," it whispered. "I can take you out of this storm. I can give you warmth, safety, peace. Don't you want that? Don't you deserve that?" Something deep inside you shivered, not just fear, but longing. The storm. The dark. The hunger of the house. The endless chase. All of it could end, if only you took that hand. Aaron stumbled between you and the figure, his eyes wild. "Don't! Once it touches you, it owns you. That's how it spreads. That's how the house breathes." The double's smile faltered slightly, as though annoyed. Its eyes, your eyes, gleamed brighter in the spiraling light. Behind it, the iron door began to close, chains rattling as if sealing themselves again. Whatever chance you had to touch, or refuse, it was slipping away. Aaron raised his broken candle like a weapon, voice ragged with desperation. "Choose! Now!" The double's hand hovered in front of you, steady and waiting. The chamber was no longer still. Every surface seemed to hum with the tension of your choice. The spirals along the walls glowed faintly, in rhythm with the light etched into the skin of your double. Dust floated in the air like ash, settling on your eyelashes, your lips, tasting of iron. Aaron's candle shook violently in his fist. He kept himself between you and the figure, but you saw the tremor in his knees, the fatigue pulling at his features. He wasn't going to hold out long. Your double lowered its hand, not in retreat, but in patience. Its smile softened, inviting, kind in a way you hadn't seen in years. "I'm not your enemy," it murmured. "I am what you could be. I am what you should be. Whole. Strong. Unafraid." Its voice slid into your bones, curling inside the cracks you tried so hard to hide. The loneliness, the exhaustion, the fear that you were never enough. Each word was a salve and a blade at once. Aaron slammed the candle down on the stone, sparks flying. "Don't listen!" His voice broke, and for the first time you heard something in it besides fury, desperation. "I've watched others fall for this, dozens. The house feeds on it. You take its hand, you won't be you anymore. You'll just be another face in the walls." The double's gaze flicked briefly toward him, its smile thinning into something sharper. "He's already theirs," it whispered. "Can't you see it? That's why he's here. Why he never leaves. He wants company. Misery loves company." Aaron's face twisted. "Lies," he spat, but his grip on the candle faltered. His shoulders sagged. For an instant, he did look like a man already claimed, his eyes ringed with darkness too deep to be only exhaustion. The iron door behind the figure creaked, closing inch by inch. The chains rattled in protest. You had only moments left before the choice was made for you. Your double extended its hand once more, steady, patient, closer now. You could feel warmth radiating from it, a heat that banished the chill pressing in from the chamber. Aaron stepped back, his voice hoarse. "Don't. If you do, you'll never walk out of this place. Not as yourself." The chamber quaked again. The door shuddered. The spirals flared. Your hand twitched. The air split with a shriek as the creature in the tunnel lunged forward again, emboldened by your hesitation. Its claws scraped sparks. Its grin returned. 2 hungers. 1 promise. You reached. Your fingers brushed against the outstretched hand. Warmth pulsed through your skin, spreading up your arm like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. It was intoxicating, soft, steady, filling every hollow place inside you. For a heartbeat you forgot the storm. You forgot the shadows. You even forgot the house. There was only calm. Then Aaron slammed his fist against the stone, the broken candle clattering from his grip. "No!" he roared, his voice cracking in despair. "You fool, you touched it!" The warmth sharpened into fire. The spirals along your double's arms flared, glowing brighter than ever. Its smile widened, perfect and cruel, as it closed its hand around yours. The chamber convulsed. The iron door yawned open with a final groan, releasing a wave of light that blinded you. The air itself screamed, an echo of every voice you'd ever known, all layered atop one another in a howl of triumph and agony. Your knees buckled as visions flooded you. Streets you'd walked, faces you'd forgotten, memories buried deep, each one flared then shattered like glass. For every memory lost, something else slid into place. Something older. Something vast. Aaron stumbled toward you, his eyes bloodshot, his voice breaking into sobs. "Let go! Fight it! If you don't, there'll be nothing left of you." But you couldn't move. The grip was absolute. The warmth that had felt like safety now burned, branding spirals into your skin. You looked down and saw them glowing along your arm, etching themselves deeper, alive. Your double leaned closer, its lips brushing your ear. "You see? You were never strong enough alone. But with me, with us, you can endure." Behind it, the pale creature shrieked, its body convulsing as the light devoured it. It melted into the cracks, clawing at the stone as it fled. Even the shadows in the chamber dissolved, leaving only the light, the spirals, and the sound of Aaron's broken sobs. You turned your head toward him, but your voice when it came out wasn't yours anymore. It was 2 voices braided together, yours and the double's. "Aaron," you said, "why fight the inevitable?" His face crumpled. "God help you," he whispered. The spirals on your arm pulsed, and the iron door shuddered wider. Beyond it lay a darkness deeper than any night, and in that darkness something moved. Still gripping your hand, your double began to step backward, guiding you through the door. The chamber stretched and warped as your double pulled you forward. The spirals etched into the stone flared brighter, burning your vision with their twisting patterns. Each step dragged you closer to the threshold, closer to the yawning dark beyond the iron door. Aaron lunged, grabbing your other arm. His grip was weak, trembling, but desperate. "Don't go in there!" he shouted, his voice ragged. "It's not a way out, it's the pit. That's where the house feeds." You felt the burn of his hand and the fire of your doubles. One side ice, the other flame, pulling you in two directions. Your body shook under the strain, your thoughts fracturing. Your double smiled, serene amid the chaos. "He's afraid. He's been here too long. He doesn't understand what waits beyond. But you..." Its grip tightened, spirals searing deeper into your arm. "You were chosen. You're strong enough to survive the crossing." The darkness inside the doorway pulsed, breathing in and out. Shapes writhed within it, not fully seen, only suggested. Outlines of faces, stretched hands, bodies twisting in silence. A tide of the lost, pressing against the threshold. Aaron's voice cracked into a sob. "I've seen it take them. Everyone who's touched that hand, dragged in, swallowed whole. Their voices are what you hear in the walls. Do you want to be another whisper? Another shadow?" Your flashlight flickered, the beam stuttering as though the batteries were dying. In those broken flashes you saw the truth of the chamber. The walls were no longer stone but flesh, veined and twitching with life. The spirals were carved directly into muscle. The house wasn't a house at all. It was a body. A living thing. The darkness beyond the door convulsed, and a single pale face pressed against the threshold, its mouth open in a silent scream. Then another, and another. A wall of them, shifting, merging, swallowing each other whole. Your double's voice was calm, steady, soothing against the terror. "Don't fear them. They will be part of you, as you will be part of me. We will never be alone again." Aaron yanked harder, desperation burning in his eyes. "Fight it, or it takes you now." Your arms stretched, one held by flame, the other by ice. The iron door pulsed, waiting. The chamber roared as though the house itself had drawn breath. The spirals along the walls pulsed with a sickly rhythm, faster and faster, beating in time with your heart. Aaron's grip on your arm faltered. His skin was clammy, his strength ebbing away. But his eyes, bloodshot, frantic, never left yours. "Don't let it take you," he begged. "You're still yourself. You can fight." Your double leaned closer, its perfect smile unbroken. "Why fight?" it whispered. "Why cling to a life of storms and fear, when you can step through and become something greater? The house won't hurt you anymore. It will be you." The darkness beyond the door rippled, pressing against the threshold like a tide. Pale faces bloomed from it, stretching and collapsing, their mouths opening and closing in silent rhythm. You felt their hunger pull at your chest, tugging at something deeper than flesh, your memory, your identity, your very self. The floor shook violently. Stone split, cracking open to reveal raw, twitching sinew beneath. The house groaned, each beam and wall resonating like bones under strain. The flashlight sputtered once more and died completely, leaving only the glow of the spirals and the candle stub guttering near Aaron's feet. Your double raised your joined hands high, spirals burning across both your skins. "One more step," it murmured. Its voice was silk and command in equal measure. "And you'll never be afraid again," Aaron shouted, his voice hoarse, breaking. "Don't trust it. Every one of those faces in the dark, they were just like you. Chosen, promised, tricked. That's what waits if you cross." The door pulsed harder. The darkness bulged forward as though impatient. One of the pale faces pressed closer, its black eyes locking onto yours. For an instant you swore it looked familiar. Someone you once knew. Someone you had loved. Your chest ached. The hunger behind the door was no longer abstract. It wanted you, specifically you, and it would not stop. The spirals burned hotter. Your arm trembled violently between Aaron's grip and your double's. The chamber howled with voices layered into one, urging. "Step through." Aaron's nails dug into your skin, his voice raw with desperation. "If you go, you're gone. I can't bring you back." The door shuddered, its hunger too vast to wait much longer. And then, with a sound like tearing flesh, the threshold pulled. The chamber heaved as though the world itself had lurched sideways. You were wrenched off your feet, your body yanked toward the glowing spirals of the iron door. The darkness beyond surged forward like a tide, faces writhing, mouths open in silent screams. Aaron clung to your arm with both hands now, his nails biting into your flesh. His face twisted with strain, veins standing out in his neck. "Hold on!" he roared, voice shaking with more than fear. It carried a strange kind of hope, a refusal to let you vanish like all the others. But your double laughed softly, its grip unyielding. "Don't resist," it cooed, its voice impossibly calm amid the chaos. "This is what you wanted when you opened the door. I'm only giving you what you asked for." The spirals etched into your skin burned hotter, branding deeper, until the pain was blinding. You screamed, though the sound was drowned by the chamber's thunder. The darkness lunged again, and you were dragged several feet closer to the threshold. Your knees scraped stone, sparks flying from Aaron's candle as it tumbled, forgotten, into a crack. Aaron dug his heels in, his body straining against yours. "Don't listen!" he bellowed. "It's not your voice, it's the house. It wears you to get inside your head." Your double's perfect face tilted toward him, still smiling. "And what about you, Aaron? How long have you survived here? How many times have you begged the house to let you out? You're nothing but a broken thing waiting for the end." Aaron spat blood, his teeth clenched. "Better broken than hollow." The chamber walls split wider, veins of light tearing through the stone flesh. The sound was unbearable, like 1,000 bones cracking at once. From the ceiling, threads of sinew whipped downward, lashing like ropes, trying to coil around Aaron's legs. He kicked them away, but each strike cost him strength. You felt your body slipping, your grip weakening. The pull of the door was relentless, sucking at your bones, your breath, your very thoughts. Aaron locked eyes with you, his voice cracking. "Fight it! Now!" The faces in the dark pressed closer, and for an instant one broke free of the tide, reaching, pleading. A face you recognized. Someone you had sworn you'd never forget. Your heart stuttered. The pull grew stronger. And in that final moment you knew something had to break. The spirals burned so hot along your skin you swore your arm would split open. The chamber's hull became unbearable, a shrieking chorus of voices layered into one, each screaming your name, each demanding you step through. Aaron's hands clamped harder around your wrist, his knuckles white, his teeth bared. His whole body shook with the effort of holding you back. "I've got you!" he shouted, his voice hoarse, raw. "Don't give in, don't let it take you!" Your double's grip was steady, effortless. Its eyes, your eyes, shone with a terrible calm. "Why cling to him?" it asked softly, though its words vibrated through your skull more than your ears. "He's just another prisoner. You can be free. You can be me." The faces in the darkness surged, pressing against the iron threshold until they almost spilled through. One stretched too close, its features melting into yours. For an instant, you were staring at yourself again, only screaming, drowning, mouth open in endless terror. The pull became unbearable. Your feet left the ground, your body suspended between the two grips. Your arms stretched, tendons screaming, muscles tearing. You couldn't hold both. One would have to break. Aaron's voice cracked into a sob. "Please! Choose me! Fight for yourself, don't let it win!" Your double smile softened into something almost tender. "You've already chosen. You put your hand in mine." Its grip tightened, spirals blazing up your arm, into your chest, your throat, your head. Memories slipped like sand through your fingers. Childhood. Laughter. Rain. All stolen. All replaced by spirals. Aaron screamed your name. Something snapped. Your wrist wrenched violently. You heard the pop of bone, felt the tendons tear. The pain was blinding, white hot, but then dulled into nothing as the spirals surged, numbing, consuming. Aaron staggered back, empty-handed. He collapsed against the chamber wall, his body convulsing with grief and exhaustion. "No, no, not you too!" Your double pulled you forward with ease, drawing you across the threshold. The darkness swallowed you, the faces pressing in, mouths opening, their voices flooding your skull until there was no space left for thought. Aaron's scream echoed behind you, distant, broken, fading. And then silence. The silence was worse than the roar. When the threshold closed behind you, the world went still. No storm. No house groaning. No Aaron shouting your name. Just blackness so deep it felt alive, pressing against your skin, filling your lungs until every breath tasted of damp stone and iron. For a moment you thought you had gone blind. Then, faintly, spirals bloomed across the dark, glowing in sickly light. They stretched outward like veins, threading along unseen walls, pulsing with a rhythm that wasn't yours but beat inside you anyway. The grip on your hand loosened. You staggered forward, no longer pulled but guided, until your knees struck cold floor. You raised your head. Your double stood before you, radiant in the spiral glow. Its face was still yours, perfect, unmarred, but its eyes had changed, deep now, fathomless, lit with shifting patterns that spun endlessly inward. Looking into them made you dizzy, as though you were falling into yourself. "You're inside," it said. Its voice was no longer soft. It was layered, dozens of voices woven together, some you knew, some you didn't, all echoing at once. "You've joined us." The walls around you rippled. Shapes stirred within them, bodies pressed into the flesh of the house, half-formed, half-absorbed. Pale hands stretched outward, clawing blindly, their mouths frozen in silent screams. Each face bore spirals carved into their cheeks, their arms, their chests. You recognized some of them. A teacher. A stranger you passed on the street. A neighbor you hadn't thought of in years. Their eyes locked on you with pleading, with fury, with despair. Your double crouched, taking your chin gently in its hand. The spirals branded into your skin glowed brighter under its touch. "They didn't survive the crossing. But you can. You're stronger. You let me in." Its smile widened. "Together we'll feed." The walls convulsed, and from the flesh poured voices, hundreds, whispering your name, begging, mocking, laughing. The floor shuddered beneath you, and a tide of pale arms began to rise, reaching for your legs, your chest, your throat. You tried to scream, but the spirals burned hotter, stealing the sound from your lungs. Your double leaned close, pressing its lips near your ear. "Breathe deep. The house is hungry." The arms clawed at you, pale and slick, their fingers too long, nails splintered into points. They pulled at your clothes, your skin, your very breath, trying to drag you into the writhing floor. Each touch burned, spirals flaring brighter on your body as though the house were branding you deeper, making you its own. You thrashed, but the strength wasn't yours anymore. Every movement was sluggish, as though you were underwater. Your double stood above you, untouched, watching with calm delight. "This is what they are now," it said, gesturing to the bodies pressed into the walls, to the arms writhing across the floor. "All the ones who came before you. Their lives, their memories, their voices, feeding the house forever." One of the hands caught your wrist, jerking you down hard. For an instant, your face pressed against the floor, and you saw them beneath the surface. Hundreds of faces, swirling just under the skin of the house, screaming without sound. Their eyes rolled toward you, begging, accusing. Your chest heaved, your throat tearing as you tried to scream, but the spirals stole the sound, replacing it with a whisper not your own, hungry. Your double crouched beside you, its smile patient, loving, cruel. "It will ask of you what it asks of all of us, memory first. Then body. Then self. Piece by piece. You will give it willingly." A cold tide surged through you. Images flashed. Your childhood, your first friend, your first lie, your first love. One by one, they slipped from your grasp, devoured by the spirals. You tried to clutch at them, but they melted away, leaving holes that ached like missing teeth. Aaron's voice flickered faintly, like a memory already too far. "Fight it." But even that wavered, dissolving, nearly gone. The walls rippled, and from the flesh a mouth opened, vast, lipless, lined with teeth that churned like grinding stone. The arms dragged you closer, lifting you toward it. The stench was unbearable, copper and rot and damp earth. Your double leaned close, pressing its forehead to yours. Its eyes swirled with spirals, pulling you deeper. Feed with us, it whispered, or be fed upon. The mouth in the wall yawned wider. The arms lifted you higher, closer to the yawning mouth in the wall. Its teeth churned like millstones, gnashing and grinding, dripping with thick strings of saliva that hissed as they struck the floor. The sound alone made your stomach twist, the grinding of bone, the crushing of stone, the wet slap of flesh being torn apart. You kicked and thrashed, but the hands held fast. They were too many, their strength endless. Each pull etched deeper spirals across your skin, glowing brighter, searing you into the pattern. Your double stood at your side, smiling serenely as though presiding over a coronation. This is the beginning, it said, voice soft, rich with promise. You'll learn to give it willingly. You'll learn to crave it. Your head swam. Memories poured from you like smoke. Your first school, the smell of autumn leaves, the laughter of someone you once swore you'd never forget. They slipped free, sucked into the spirals and carried into the grinding maw of the house. The faces pressed into the walls watched hungrily, their mouths opening and closing in rhythm with yours. Some wept. Some laughed. Some looked eerily relieved. The mouth lowered close enough now that you felt its breath, a hot, fetid wind that reeked of rot. The arms shoved harder, forcing you toward it. Your chest burned, your thoughts shredded. You tried to cry out, but the spirals filled your throat, twisting your words into one single whisper. Feed. Your double leaned close, touching its hand to your cheek. Its touch was tender, almost loving. If you resist, it said, you'll be torn apart until nothing of you remains. If you give in, you'll live. Not as you were, but as more. As part of us. The mouth gnashed again, hungry and impatient. Somewhere far, faint, like a memory already slipping, you thought you heard Aaron's voice. Fight it. Remember who you are. Don't let it take your name. The spirals blazed hotter, filling your vision. Your double's eyes bore into yours, spirals spinning endlessly. You don't need a name, it whispered. You need only hunger. The arms dragged you forward. The teeth opened wide. The arms lifted you into the waiting mouth. Teeth scraped against your boots, sparks flying as if stone had bitten steel. The stench of rot and copper was overwhelming, making your eyes water, your lungs burn. You writhed, trying to twist free, but every struggle only tightened the grip. Fingers dug into your skin, your ribs, your throat. They weren't only dragging you closer, they were prying you apart, offering you piece by piece. The mouth gnashed again, a grinding roar that vibrated through your bones. For a heartbeat, you saw what it had consumed before, fragments of bodies wedged between its teeth. A child's shoe. A bent pair of spectacles. A finger, still twitching though slick with decay. Your double's hand stroked your hair as though to comfort you. Don't fear it, it murmured. This is how we begin. The spirals on your body blazed so brightly they blinded you. Memories tore loose in bursts, each one dragged screaming into the maw. Your first lie. Your first kiss. The sound of your own laughter. Gone, swallowed, chewed into nothing. You screamed, though your voice fractured, bending into many voices, some not your own. The walls screamed with you, the mouths of the trapped opening wide, their eyes burning with spirals as they echoed every sound you made. For a moment you thought you felt yourself splitting, your body here, your voice there, your memories scattered like ashes across the chamber. The maw wanted everything. Then, suddenly it paused. The teeth stopped grinding. The arms froze, holding you inches above the gaping throat. Your double smile widened. It likes you, it whispered. It wants more than just your pieces. It wants you whole. The spirals along the walls flared, the chamber trembling. The arms released their crushing hold, not to free you, but to let you hover, suspended, as the mouth opened wider than ever before. A new voice boomed from its depths, ancient and layered with countless echoes. Step willingly. Your double held out its hand once more, spirals blazing along its palm. Say yes, it urged softly. Be more than prey. Be us. The house waited, its hunger shifting into expectation. The chamber throbbed like a living heart. The spirals carved into the walls spun faster, their glow strobing until the air itself seemed to pulse in rhythm. The voices inside the flesh pressed closer, whispering your name, begging you to join them, mocking you for resisting. Suspended above the grinding maw, your body trembled in the grip of invisible hands. The mouth yawned wider still, its throat a tunnel of endless black, its teeth slick with the remnants of everything it had consumed. Your double stood at the edge, hand outstretched, radiant in the spiral light. Its face was yours but calmer, stronger, a version of yourself untouched by doubt or fear. "Don't fight anymore," it said, voice smooth as glass. "The house offers you what it offers no one else, choice. Say yes, and you will not be devoured, you will rule. Refuse, and you'll be nothing but another face in the walls." The voice from the maw reverberated again, deeper this time, vibrating through your chest until your ribs ached. "Step willingly. Feed with us." Memories bled from you in shivering waves, your name, your home, the sound of your own heartbeat. You tried to cling to them, but they slid away like water through clenched fists. Each loss left a hole the spirals filled with their hungry light. Aaron's voice flickered faintly in the back of your mind, half memory, half echo. "Fight it. Remember. Remember who you are." Your double's eyes locked onto yours. The spirals inside them spun endlessly, drawing you deeper, promising relief from the struggle. "You're already mine," it whispered. "All that's left is for you to accept it. One word, and you'll never be afraid again." The mouths in the walls opened in unison, chanting with your voice, his voice, their voices. "Say yes. Say yes. Say yes." The maw below gnashed, teeth sparking, impatient. The arms tightened around your chest, pressing until your breath rattled in your throat. The chamber quaked, ready to consume. Your double's hand hovered before your lips, waiting for the word. The world narrowed to one breath. The chant thinned into a single syllable looping in your head until it had no shape but pressure. Yes, yes, yes. The spirals burned beneath your skin like a second pulse, matching the chamber's rhythm. Everything you had been and might have been was unspooling, thread by thread, and the void it left stretched wide and hungry. Aaron's voice came at the edge of hearing, thin as glass. "Remember." He had been more than a warning. He had been proof that resistance existed, a raw, stubborn human spark that had not yet been entirely drowned. You clung to the sound with the last of some small, stubborn thing that still called itself you. Your mouth moved before you decided to move it. Maybe it was the spirals, maybe the double's whisper, soft as a lover, cold as iron, but the words slipped out in a breath that felt borrowed. "No." For an instant nothing happened. The chamber seemed to inhale, recoil. The chanting voices stuttered as if someone had cut a string. Your double's face flickered, the perfect calm cracking like old paint. Its hand tightened, gentle one moment, then hard as a vice. The glow in its eyes wavered, and for the first time you saw something behind them, not endless comfort, but a flash of panic, like an animal surprised in its sleep. The maw below reacted as well. The teeth scraped, a sound like stone on stone, and the arms holding you flexed. But instead of dragging you forward, they hesitated. The house, it seemed, had expected the answer. Its engine ran on compliance. A refusal was an anomaly. It spat sparks and hissed, displeased. Aaron's hold had the opposite effect. Hearing you say no, he pushed himself upright, summoned whatever scraps of strength remained, and lunged. His hands found your free wrist, fingers digging in like nails. "Hold on!" he snarled, not pleading now, but fighting. Your double's expression shifted from honey to ice. It pulled, hard, its other hand a vice on your shoulder. "You fool!" it breathed, and your own voice answered you from within its mouth, sweet and distorting. "You'll be happier with us." Between the two grips the world tore. Pain lanced through your arm where spirals seared deeper. At the same time some rope inside you tightened, memory, stubborn and bright. Faces, not the house's borrowed ones but real. Your mother's rough laugh, the weight of a promise you'd made to someone years ago, the small, private habit you were ashamed of. They flared up like beacons, and each one made the spirals hiss in pain. The chamber convulsed. The walls thudded as if something massive pounded on the other side. The chanting slowed. The mouths in the walls slacked, puzzled. The iron door behind your double rattled like a chained animal. For a heartbeat the house didn't know what to do. You breathed again, real, ragged, human, and the single word you had said hung in the air between you and the hunger. No, you said louder, and this time Aaron's grip tightened not in despair but in hope. The double's smile thinned to a snarl. For the first time since the threshold, you felt something in the chamber falter. The certainty that the house could simply take what it wanted when it wanted. Then the house decided to adapt. A new sound rose from the walls, not chant but a mimic, your voice, gentle and coaxing, layered over itself until it seemed to come from everywhere. Don't be cruel to him, it whispered in your mother's cadence. He's tired, let him rest. Another voice, your own old laugh, suggested the ease of yield. The spirals pulsed with renewed hunger. Aaron's jaw tightened. You can say no, he panted. But you can't do it alone. Fight with me. He set his feet, braced like a man about to be pulled apart. You looked at your hands, one seared in spirals, one held by a man whose shadow had been the last human thing you'd seen. The chamber's pressure rolled like a sea. The choice remained brutal and immediate: cling to what you had left, or let the house rewrite you into something monstrous and sure. You raised your head and met your double's eyes. I remember, you said, and the words were thin but real. The double laughed, high and wrong, and the laugh split into 3, 5, 20 voices. The house answered with a sound that was equal parts anger and fascination, and the maw below began to close, not to consume, but to bargain. Somewhere far off, a door slammed. The corridor the house had opened behind you collapsed inward with a dry, satisfied rumble, as if the house were beginning to sew its wound shut. You had made an answer. The house had heard it. Now it would respond. The chamber pulsed like a struck drum, each beat rattling through your teeth. The spirals dimmed, then flared again, their light jagged, uneven, as though the house itself had faltered. Your double's smile had curdled into a rictus. Its eyes, still your eyes, spun faster with those endless patterns. You think a word saves you? It hissed, voice no longer smooth but brittle, splintering into too many tones at once. You think memory makes you strong? You've already lost pieces you'll never get back. Aaron hauled you closer, teeth clenched, veins standing out along his neck. Lost pieces ain't the same as losing yourself. His voice cracked, but it carried steel. Keep saying no. That's all it takes. Over and over. Don't let it trick you into silence. The mouths in the walls opened wide, screaming, not words, but a noise like tearing metal. The chamber shook with fury, and the maw below yawned again, furious this time, not pleading. Black ichor frothed from its teeth, spilling across the stone in waves. The arms that had once dragged you now writhed in confusion, some reaching for you, some retreating, their grip weakened by contradiction. Your double leaned close, its breath hot, sour. You don't belong to him, it said, glaring at Aaron with venom. He's nothing but rot. He's the house's leftovers. Come with me, and you'll never be weak again. Aaron spat blood, his grip slipping on your wrist but never letting go. Don't listen. It can't give you what it promises. All it knows is hunger. All it is hunger. The spirals on your arm throbbed in pain, as though the house tried to cauterize your defiance. Memories flickered, your first pet, the smell of cut grass, a birthday cake lit with too many candles. They nearly slipped, but you forced your grip tighter on them, whispering the names, the places, the sounds under your breath like a litany. The walls rippled. The faces pressed inside them shrieked louder, their features distorting into horrors. And then, suddenly, they began to peel outward. One by one, figures started to tear free from the flesh, dripping, shuddering, staggering onto the chamber floor. Their mouths hung open in eternal screams, their eyes burning with spiral light. They moved like broken marionettes, but their hunger was clear. Aaron swore under his breath, pulling you back toward the far wall. The house is sending its choir, he rasped. It's not gonna wait for you to give in, it's gonna drown you in them. Your double's grin widened again, too wide, splitting your own reflection into something inhuman. There you already, it whispered. You just haven't accepted it. The first of the choir fell to its knees, crawling toward you with clawed fingers outstretched. Behind it, more emerged, dozens, their bodies slick with blood and dust, each carrying fragments of lives you half recognized, faces you'd glimpsed in mirrors, shadows of strangers you'd passed in the street, echoes of memories you weren't sure were yours. The house had heard your answer, and it had chosen to smother it in bodies. They came crawling at first, hands slapping wet against the stone, knees cracking with each jerky lurch. The chamber stank of them, sour and metallic, like rust mixed with rot. Their mouths hung open, spirals etched into their throats glowing faintly with each ragged breath. Aaron shoved you behind him, snatching a shard of stone from the broken wall. His face was white with exhaustion, but his jaw was set like iron. Stay back, he hissed, though his voice cracked. They're slow. We can hold them. The first figure dragged itself forward, its arms too long, its face a blur of features that shifted like wax. It whispered in your own voice. You left me in the dark. Aaron swung the stone hard. The thing collapsed with a wet crunch, but instead of falling still, it melted into the floor, spirals spreading outward from the pool it left behind. The glow pulsed brighter with each second. Damn it, Aaron muttered, retreating a step. Killing em just feeds the room. Another lurched closer, this one a woman's form, though her face bore pieces of your own. Half her mouth smiled your smile, the other half sagged open, teeth clicking as if chewing words. Say yes, she rasped, her voice a chorus layered over itself. You stumbled back, bow rising in your throat. They're me. Aaron glanced over his shoulder, eyes fierce despite the fear. No. They're what the house wants you to think. Don't give them weight. Don't give them your name. But they kept coming. A dozen now, dragging, twitching, whispering. Their words overlapped into a single chant that shook your bones. You're already ours. You're already ours. Your double stood at their head like a conductor, calm and radiant. See how they love you, it crooned. See how they gather to welcome you home? The nearest figure lunged suddenly, faster than the others. Aaron intercepted, the stone shards smashing into its head. It crumpled, shrieking, spirals spraying across the floor in glowing streaks. The chamber pulsed with the sound, walls shuddering. Aaron staggered, breathing hard. We can't fight them all, he panted. His grip found your arm again. We move, now, before the house closes the way out. Behind the choir, the iron door still yawned, light bleeding from the spirals. Beyond it, the dark tide of faces pressed closer, waiting. The maw below gnashed impatiently, teeth clattering. The house was hurting you. The choir closed in, their bodies jerking in stuttering rhythm as though pulled by invisible strings. Each step left spiral burns on the floor, their glow spreading outward like veins across stone. The chamber shuddered with every movement, the house pushing you and Aaron toward the narrowing gap between wall and maw. Aaron dragged you sideways, searching desperately for another path, but the walls shifted with you, sealing off space where once there had been cracks. The house was reshaping itself, tightening its ribs to trap you inside. The nearest figure reached for you, a boy's frame with your face melted over it. Its hand brushed your shoulder, and the spiral carved into its palm flared. For an instant, your vision went white, and you saw a memory that wasn't yours, a child drowning in a river, lungs burning, the world narrowing to water and dark. You tore yourself free with a choked gasp. They're inside me, you whispered, trembling. They're showing me things that never happened. Aaron swung his stone shard, smashing the boy figure back into the others. That's how they break you. Don't look too close, don't listen too long. His voice was iron, but his arms shook from fatigue. The choir's chant swelled louder, a tide of whispers overlapping into a single demand: step through. Step through. Step through. Their mouths opened wider, their faces splitting, spiral light pouring from the cracks. Your double glided behind them, its perfect smile unwavering. You see? it said, its voice carrying easily over the din. The house doesn't punish you. It welcomes you. Every fear, every failure, it takes them away. All you must do is join. The choir lunged as one. Aaron shoved you hard toward the far side of the chamber. Run! He shouted, striking out at the first figure. His shard shattered against its skull, useless now. Still he fought with bare fists, teeth bared, eyes wild. I'll hold them, just move! But as you stumbled back, the wall shifted again, stones splitting to reveal a narrow crack, a passage you hadn't seen before. Foul, cold air poured from it, carrying the scent of damp soil and something older still. The choir turned their heads as one, their spiral-lit eyes snapping toward you. Their chant faltered into a single word that rattled the chamber. Mine. Your double stretched its arms wide, its glow pulsing. The crack in the wall narrowed as though it would close in seconds. The house was offering you a corridor, or a trap. The crack in the wall pulsed like a wound, bleeding cold air into the chamber. Its edges twitched, raw and wet, shrinking by the second. You knew if you didn't move soon, the house would close it forever. Aaron grappled with the nearest of the choir, his fist smashing against its distorted face. Each strike left his skin smeared with spiral light that burned like acid. He screamed through clenched teeth but didn't stop. Go! He roared, spittle flying. Get out while you can! The choir swarmed him, dragging at his arms, his legs. Their voices rose in a shriek that made your bones ache. Ours! 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 Your flashlight beam cut through the chaos, trembling across the chamber. You aimed it at Aaron, heart tearing. I'm not leaving you! He shoved one figure back with a desperate kick, his eyes blazing. You have to! If one of us makes it out, maybe it means something. Maybe it weakens the house. Your double's laughter rippled through the chamber, smooth and merciless. He's already gone. He's been mine since the day he stumbled in here. Why waste yourself on a ruin? You staggered toward the crack, drawn by the pull of fresh air, if anything in this house could be called fresh. The scent was earthy, damp, almost like rain-soaked fields. It tugged at you, promising distance from spirals, from mouths, from the endless pull of the door. But every step toward it made Aaron's cries sharper. The choir pulled him down, their fingers clawing at his flesh, spirals burning into his skin. He looked at you once more, his face contorted in pain but fierce with determination. Remember your no, he rasped. His voice was nearly gone, buried beneath the chant. Keep it, no matter what. Don't let it rewrite you. The crack narrowed to half its size, the walls groaning as though grinding bone against bone. The house wanted to close the option, to force your hand. Aaron vanished beneath a tide of pale bodies, his scream cut short. Your double stepped closer, untouched, radiant in the spiral glow. You can save yourself, it said, tilting its head. Or you can die with him. Choose. The passage pulsed one last time, waiting. The crack was sealing. The walls ground together with a noise like teeth on bone, every second shaving the opening smaller. Cold air rushed out in bursts, pulling at your clothes, beckoning you forward. Aaron's scream rose once more, muffled under the weight of bodies. You saw flashes of him through the writhing mass, his arm thrashing free, his teeth bared in a grimace, his fist smashing into something faceless. But each time he surfaced, the choir dragged him down again, their spiral-lit eyes glowing hotter as if feeding on his struggle. Your double moved closer, its hands clasped as though in prayer. This is mercy, it said. For him, for you. He's already swallowed. Why should you be? Its voice was silk, carrying the calm of inevitability. You staggered backward toward the crack, torn between the pull of escape and the sight of Aaron being consumed. His last words rang in your skull like iron, remember your no. The spirals carved into your arms pulsed violently, burning with every step you took away from the chamber. They wanted you to turn back, to surrender, to step into the tide of voices. But with each breath, you whispered the word under your breath like a curse and a prayer. No. 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 The passage shrank to a slit, barely wide enough for your body. You drop to your knees, shoving your shoulders through, stone and flesh scraping against your skin. Behind you, Aaron's voice rose again, hoarse, desperate. Go! Don't stop! Make it matter! The crack clamped tighter, stone grinding against your ribs as you forced yourself forward. Your flashlight clattered from your grip, swallowed by the dark behind you. Only the faint glow of the spirals lit your path now, their light staining the walls and patterns that writhed away from your touch. Then, with a final convulsion, the passage slammed shut behind you. The sound was deafening, like the house snapping its jaws. Silence followed. You lay sprawled on damp earth, chest heaving, spirals still glowing faintly under your skin. The air here was different, colder, but cleaner. The sound of the choir had vanished, replaced by a slow drip of water somewhere deeper ahead. For the first time since entering the house, you were alone. But the spirals pulsed still, whispering faintly in your bones. The air was thick with the smell of damp soil and rust, tinged faintly with the copper of blood. You pushed yourself upright, brushing grit from your hands, your palms still stinging where spirals burned faintly under the skin. They pulsed like a second heartbeat, slow, steady, whispering faintly at the edges of your mind. The tunnel ahead was narrower than the chamber but carved deliberately, its walls ribbed with roots that twisted like veins. Moisture dripped from them in steady rhythm, each drop echoing in the silence. You reached for your flashlight, only to remember it was gone, lost in the chamber. All you had now was the faint glow leaking from the spirals etched across your arms. You whispered the word again, the word that had held you together. No. The spirals dimmed at the sound, recoiling faintly, as though the house had heard and disliked it. You pressed onward, your footsteps sinking into soft soil. The tunnel sloped downward, curving like the burrow of some vast creature. The deeper you went, the stronger the whispers became, rising in layers, not from your head but from the earth itself. Rest, lie down, you've earned it. Stay with us, just a moment, forever. You clamped your jaw shut, muttering your mantra until the words steadied you. No. 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 After what felt like an eternity of crawling deeper, the tunnel widened into a low cavern. The glow of your spirals lit it just enough to reveal heaps of objects strewn across the floor. You froze. Shoes. Dozens of them, rotted and mismatched. A child's toy car. A pair of cracked spectacles. A wedding ring half buried in dirt. All scattered like offerings. And bones. So many bones. Long dead, some gnawed, some snapped. They were tangled together, as though dumped in haste. Skulls peered upward with empty sockets, spiral scratches etched across their crowns. At the far end of the cavern stood an arch of root and stone. Unlike the others, it wasn't pulsing, it was still dormant. But the soil beneath it bulged faintly, as if something enormous stirred just beneath the surface. The whispers hushed for the first time. Then a single voice rose, low and resonant, coming from everywhere at once. Why do you fight me still? The soil shifted under your boots. The cavern seemed to breathe with the voice. The soil shifted underfoot in shallow waves, as though you stood on the belly of some buried beast. The arch of roots trembled faintly, dust sifting down, but it didn't collapse. It was waiting. You froze, every muscle rigid. The glow of the spirals along your arms brightened against your will, answering the voice like a loyal dog. You opened the door, it murmured, its tone both soothing and terrible. You touched what was mine. Why resist now? Your throat tightened. Because I'm still me. You whispered, the words scraping your dry mouth. The cavern pulsed, a low vibration that rattled the bones around your feet. One rolled, its skull clattering until it stared at you, spiral grooves cut deep into its crown. Are you? The voice asked, almost gentle. Pieces of you are already gone. You felt them slip. You know their weight. Names. Faces. Gone. They live here now, and still you bleed yourself dry trying to clutch at what remains. You sank to one knee, the pressure in your skull unbearable. Flashes seared through your vision, your first birthday cake, a teacher's crooked smile, the smell of rain-soaked books. Each one shivered and dissolved like paper in flame. The spirals blazed brighter, feeding on your distraction. No, you rasped, forcing the word out, though it barely carried. They're mine. They're me. The arch of roots cracked faintly, widening. A foul gust spilled through, damp and hot, carrying the musk of soil long undisturbed. I could ease it, the voice whispered. No more struggle. No more pain. You would be like the others, whole in your surrender. Why stagger half-broken when you could rest? Your chest heaved. For an instant you longed for it, for the promise of silence, of release. The weight of memory was sharp, jagged, cutting you from inside. Would it be so wrong to set it down? Then, Aaron's voice, faint as a breath, flickered in your ear. Remember your no. You clutched the thought like a lifeline, dragging yourself upright. I don't belong to you, you said, louder now, your voice echoing against stone and bone. The cavern convulsed. Bones rattled. Roots lashed against the walls like tendons snapping. The soil beneath your feet bucked, throwing you hard onto your hands and knees. The voice lost its calm, growing sharper, hungrier. Then belonged to nothing. Let me take what's left. The soil split open at the base of the arch. Something vast began to rise. The soil split like a mouth parting to speak. Roots snapped with the sound of old rope tearing. From the yawning crack poured a dark so dense it drank the glow from your spirals, leaving only the slow, stuttering pulse of light under your skin. The cavern shuddered as something immense pushed upward, first a hump of earth, then a ridge of packed roots, then a shape that was not wholly soil nor wholly stone. It rose with the slowness of glaciers and the inevitability of tides. As it surfaced, the smell became a living thing, centuries of composted things, wet leather, old blood, and the stale breath of rooms long sealed. When the things had cleared the arch, you saw it was ringed with a crown of knotted roots, and where eyes might be there were hollows crusted with spirals the color of sickly moonlight. Its mouth, if mouth it had, was an opening paved with the same grinding teeth you had seen in the maw, but scaled and patterned like an ancient, tooth-lined gate. The voice came again, but now it was no longer only words. It rolled like a drum beneath your feet, felt more than heard. So you yield and so you resist. The two make such delicious music together, it intoned, and the cavern seemed to smile with terrible, vegetal teeth. You scrambled backward, palms scrabbling for purchase on the slick bone-strewn floor. Every instinct screamed to flee, but where could you go? The passage you had forced your way through was a thin seam in the house's flesh, likely sealed behind you. Even if it were not, you doubted you could outrun whatever had just surfaced. Aaron's voice cracked from somewhere behind. If he still lived, if the choir hadn't already finished him. You tried to call, but the air pressed against your throat. The spirals under your skin pulsed, as if whatever rose fed on that rhythm and pressed it to accelerate. You tasted iron and old earth on the back of your tongue. The root-crowned behemoth flexed. Around its shoulders, smaller faces, faces of people, of parts of people, peered out of the root mass, their expressions a mixture of hunger and serene surrender. They watched you with the same blank affection your double had worn. Their mouths moved, shaping words you could not entirely catch. The thing's motion was slow but deliberate. Each shift sent tremors through the cavern, sent loose bones skittering. You opened the door for someone like me, the thing said, and when it spoke the chamber answered with hundreds of rustling voices as if every buried object had something to add. You brought me a hand and I took a world. I am not cruel. I am thorough. Come, child of weather and wandering, finish what you began. You felt the old pull, the tug that had dragged you to the iron door in the first place. It was not only a hunger for bodies now but for stories, for the precise slant of memory that made someone who they were. The thing wanted the rest of your life's pattern stitched into it, a new layer of flesh and voice to thicken its walls. Your knees trembled. The spirals burned, and for the first time since the crossing you heard a clear thought that was not the house's, a memory so minute and bright it hurt to hold. Your small hand in a warm car's hand at dusk, the smell of something ordinary and safe. You pressed to that small light like a person clinging to the edge of a cliff. The behemoth leaned lower, and one of the faces embedded in its root crown smiled at you with a smile you recognized, someone from your past whose name your lips almost remembered. You could belong, it whispered, using that voice you longed to hear. You could belong and be whole, as I am whole. But beside that bait was the truth you had fought so hard to say. Aaron's rasp, no. Remember your no. The words were brittle, a match struck in a blizzard, but they were yours in a way the house could never truly become. The thing paused, studying. It seemed mildly amused that you hesitated. The house-like choices. They were more elegant than simple snatching. Then it sighed through root and stone, and the cavern's air thickened to a pressure that made your ears pop. Around you, the bones shifted. The choir, those shattered, smiling bodies, pressed at the edges of the cavern like a tide. Whether the behemoth intended to welcome you into its belly or to bargain with you, you could not tell. What you did know was one small, burning fact. This was the heart of the house, and it had noticed the difference between the hands that open and the hands that resist. You swallowed the memory of the warm hand in the car, felt it galvanize something in your chest. Then you did the strangest thing in the face of a thing that wanted to unmake you. You spoke. No, you said once, low and raw. Not pleading now. Not an anthem, only a word shaped small and honest. Not yet. The behemoth's root crown trembled. Several of the faces twitched as if surprised. The thing watched you with a patience older than any fear. A little wind moved through the cavern, stirring the loose debris, and for a heartbeat, just one, nothing in the house knew quite how to respond. The pause was worse than the roar. The house, this thing beneath it, had never been denied for long. The cavern felt taut as a bowstring, every drip of water from the roots amplified, every tremor in the soil holding its breath. The behemoth's hollow eyes glowed faintly, spirals turning within them like storm clouds. Faces in its root crown shifted uneasily, lips twitching as if the great body hadn't decided what they should say. For the first time, you sensed it was not all-powerful. It was vast, yes. It was old, yes. But it was also startled. You braced yourself on shaky legs. Your throat was raw, but you forced the word out again, steady this time. No. The spirals along your skin flared in protest, burning like hot wire. They wanted you to retract it, to swallow the defiance. Instead, you held the word in your chest, as though pinning it there with iron nails. Aaron's voice flickered through your mind, so faint now you weren't sure if it was memory or ghost. Don't let it rewrite you. The behemoth tilted its massive head, roots creaking like timbers in a storm. When it spoke again, the voice was no longer a velvet whisper but a low growl that rattled the walls. You think defiance makes you free? It makes you mine. Resistance feeds me as much as surrender. The more you fight, the more you bleed into me. The ground swelled beneath your boots, throwing you against the cavern wall. Bones rattled, clattering like dice, rolling into the dark. From the soil, pale arms began to rise again, hundreds this time, smaller than before but endless, grasping and writhing like weeds sprouting in fast motion. You staggered back, kicking them away as they clawed for your ankles. Each touch seared, each grip threatening to anchor you to the earth. The behemoth leaned closer, its vast mouth opening, rows of grinding teeth slick with ichor. Its breath washed over you, hot and sour. One way or another, it said, you will join. But behind the words, behind the hunger, you felt something else. A hesitation. A fracture. It had not expected resistance. It had not expected the word no to hold. You pressed your palms together, ignoring the burn of spirals, and whispered again. No! The cavern screamed, a shriek of stone and root. The arms recoiled, snapping back into the soil. The behemoth jerked, its crown of faces twisting in agony. You had heard it. Not much. But enough. The scream rattled every stone in the cavern. Roots tore from the ceiling and lashed the walls like whips. The behemoth staggered, its bulk grinding against the arch as though your word had struck something deep inside it. The faces in its crown twisted and writhed, mouths opening wide in cries that weren't only sound but memory. You saw fragments rippling through them, images that had belonged to you, stolen in the crossing. A birthday candle sputtering out. A rain-slick streetlight. A name whispered in the dark. Your knees buckled under the flood, each shard sharp as glass, each one reminding you of how much you'd already lost. The spirals under your skin flared, desperate to claim the memories back for the house. But you clenched your jaw and spat the word again, louder this time. No! The cavern convulsed. The behemoth lurched back as though struck by a physical blow. Soil collapsed in heaps, burying bones. The faces in its crown shrieked and melted into the root mass, spirals sputtering out in a spray of sparks. You had wounded it. The behemoth roared, a sound so massive the cavern floor split open, veins of glowing spiral light ripping through the earth. From the fissures poured a tide of the choir, hundreds now, half-formed bodies clawing upward, their eyes blank, their mouths opening in unison. Aaron's voice flickered again, faint as smoke. It hurts when you say no. Keep saying it. The behemoth's hollow eyes fixed on you, burning with fury. Enough, it thundered. If you will not give me your voice, I will take your flesh. A root thicker than your body lashed from the arch, slamming into the ground inches from your feet. Dirt exploded, bones scattering. Another root cracked downward, aiming for your chest. You rolled aside, scraping your palms raw, but the next whip came fast, tearing across your shoulder. Pain seared white-hot, spirals burning deeper where it struck. The choir swarmed closer, their bodies twitching, their whispers rising. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. You stumbled to your feet, chest heaving, blood slick on your arm. You had hurt the house. You knew it now. But if you couldn't strike harder, it would bury you in its choir and grind you into silence. The behemoth loomed, its vast mouth opening wide, teeth gnashing. It meant to swallow you whole. And the cavern began to collapse. The cavern split like an eggshell. Chunks of earth fell from the ceiling, crashing into the piles of bones below. The choir surged forward through the widening cracks, their pale bodies writhing over each other, clawing the soil with too many hands. Their chant was no longer coaxing but frantic, desperate. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. The behemoth reared back, its root crown scraping the ceiling, shedding dust and stone. Its spiraled eyes burned like sick suns. Defiance is nothing but a flavor, it thundered, voice booming so loud your chest rattled. You will end as all do, in me. A root lashed toward you. You dove aside, rolling across the dirt, bones snapping under your weight. Pain shot through your ribs, but adrenaline shoved it aside. Another root slammed down, barely missing your head, leaving a crater in the soil. The spirals under your skin screamed, a searing heat that urged surrender. Each throb whispered, it would be easier. Let go. Fall in. Become. But you forced your voice out, even through the pain. No! The word tore your throat raw, but the effect was immediate. The root that had nearly crushed you recoiled, smoking where the sound had struck it. The behemoth bellowed, shaking the chamber, its body twisting violently as though the single syllable was a blade driven into its flesh. For a heartbeat, the choir faltered. Their chant broke, some collapsing to the ground, twitching, their spirals dimming. You saw your chance. But the house saw it too. The fissures widened into yawning pits. From them gushed black ichor steaming, burning where it touched the bone piles. The smell was acrid, choking. Roots burst upward in a frenzy, walls closing in, ceiling lowering. The house wasn't just lashing, it was trying to crush the cavern around you, to bury you alive in its body. You staggered toward the arch, teeth clenched against the spiral fire in your veins. Stones rained down, striking your shoulders, your back. Behind you, the behemoth roared again, its massive head lunging forward. Its grinding teeth opened wide, rows upon rows ready to snap shut around you. The cavern tilted as though the world itself had been unbalanced. Bones slid toward the maw in avalanches. Choir bodies tumbled screaming into the behemoth's throat, devoured in an instant. And above the chaos, faint but fierce, Aaron's voice rang out again, hoarse, torn, but undeniable. Strike while it's wounded. Aaron's voice cut through the chaos like a rope thrown to a drowning man. You seized it, clinging to the faint thread of clarity it offered. Strike while it's wounded. The behemoth's massive head lunged, teeth grinding, roots flailing in frenzy. Its crown of faces writhed, spirals strobing in disarray. You could feel it falter, its rhythm broken by your refusals, its endless hunger disrupted by something it had not anticipated, defiance. Your chest burned with every breath. The spirals under your skin pulsed violently, trying to smother the thought, to drag you into silence. But you gathered what was left of yourself, every ragged memory you'd managed to keep. The car at dusk. The crooked smile of someone you had once loved. Aaron's desperate eyes, fierce even as he was dragged down. You forced them into a single word. No! It tore out of you raw, echoing through the collapsing cavern. The sound was more than voice. It was memory, defiance, a blade of self sharpened on everything the house had tried to take. The behemoth recoiled as if struck by fire. Its teeth clashed shut, spraying ichor. Cracks ripped through its root crown, faces splitting apart, melting into a mass of writhing wood and flesh. The choir shrieked, their bodies convulsing before collapsing into heaps of ash and bone. The cavern convulsed with the roar of something ancient in pain. The arch split down the center, spilling soil and stone in a cascade. Roots thrashed wildly, tearing through walls, snapping under their own violence. You dropped to your knees, clutching your seared arms as the spirals flared one final time, then dimmed, sputtering like dying embers. The behemoth lurched forward, massive body crashing against the cavern floor. It convulsed, its hollow eyes blazing with one last furious glare. "You will not leave me," it thundered, though its voice now cracked, broken. "If I cannot have you, I will bury you." The ceiling gave way. Tons of earth and stone rumbled down in waves. Roots snapped like whips, flailing blindly. The ground split beneath you, opening into blackness. Through the cacophony, Aaron's voice came again, closer this time, ragged but urgent. "Move!" A hand, human, real, shot from the dust and grasped your wrist. The grip was strong, rough, and warm, far too real to be one of the house's pale imitations. Still, doubt pierced you sharp as a nail. The house had worn your voice, your face, your memories. Couldn't it wear Aaron's too? Dust swirled, choking your lungs, blinding your eyes. The behemoth thrashed in the collapsing cavern, its root crown shedding screaming faces as it sank back into the soil. The sound of grinding teeth echoed like thunder. Stones rained from the ceiling, smashing bone piles into fragments. "Move!" The voice shouted again, closer now, ragged with exertion. The hand tugged harder, dragging you toward a narrow break in the wall revealed by the collapse. You tried to dig your heels in, resisting, torn between trust and suspicion. "Aaron?" Your voice cracked. "Is it you?" The figure burst from the dust, a silhouette first, then a body, battered and smeared with spiral ash but solid, human. His eyes were bloodshot, his skin gray with exhaustion, but it was him. The same furious spark lived in those eyes. "It's me," he rasped, coughing hard. "Unless the house finally got tired of lying and gave me a prettier face." He tugged again, urgency burning in every line of his body. "We don't have time. Come on." The ground bucked beneath you as the behemoth roared one last time, its bulk collapsing in on itself. The floor cracked wide, swallowing the remains of the choir, the offerings, the bones. The air filled with a howl that was neither voice nor wind but a raw note of fury, vibrating through marrow and stone. Aaron pulled you through the gap just as the cavern imploded. A rush of soil and splintered roots slammed down behind you, sealing the path in seconds. The sound of the collapse rolled away like thunder fading into distance. Silence. You stumbled forward, coughing in the dark passage. Aaron leaned against the wall, chest heaving, blood dripping from his knuckles. The spirals along his arms glowed faintly but were dimming, same as yours. For a long moment, neither of you spoke. You both just breathed, alive, though the stink of the house still clung to the air. Then Aaron's voice came low, steady, but laced with weariness. "You heard it." His gaze met yours, heavy with something like awe. "Nobody's ever done that before." From deep in the earth, faint but undeniable, the house groaned. A wounded animal. A promise of unfinished hunger. Aaron pushed off the wall, swaying but steady. "But we're not out yet." The new passage was narrow, more burrow than hallway, its walls slick with soot and damp ash that smeared beneath your fingertips. The air reeked of burnt wood and wet stone, but beneath it lingered the metallic tang of blood. Every step stirred up dust that clung to your throat. Aaron limped ahead, his breath ragged, his hands tracing the walls for balance. The faint glow of the spirals under your skin lit the path in a sickly hue, enough to see the way but not enough to comfort. You noticed his spirals too, dim, guttering like dying embers. For a moment you dared to hope. "Did we kill it?" you asked, your voice hoarse. Aaron didn't turn, but you saw the line of his shoulders stiffen. "You don't kill things like that," he said. His tone was flat, without cruelty, but without hope either. "You hurt them. You buy yourself time." The tunnel curved sharply, forcing you to stoop low. The ground beneath your palms felt soft, almost sponge-like, as if the soil had been chewed through by something alive. Your stomach twisted at the thought of what else might move down here. "You said nobody ever heard it before," you pressed, whispering now. "So maybe this time is different." Aaron glanced back at you, the faint glow of spirals casting strange shadows across his gaunt face. "Different doesn't mean safe." He paused, swallowing hard, then added, "But maybe it means there's a way out." The tunnel widened suddenly into a low chamber, no larger than a cellar. The floor was carpeted in ash so thick it puffed into the air when you stepped on it, coating your legs gray. The ceiling was lined with dangling roots, charred at the tips, twitching faintly as if burned but not dead. Aaron crouched, scooping a handful of ash, letting it sift through his fingers. "These are its leavings," he muttered. "What it spits out when it's done feeding." He looked up at you, eyes hollow. "This is what we'll be, if we're not careful." You shivered, brushing the ash from your clothes, but it clung stubbornly. It felt warm, like it still remembered the bodies it had been. From deeper in the passage came a faint sound. A steady rhythm. Not the heartbeat you'd heard before, but footsteps. Aaron froze. His eyes met yours, wide and sharp now. "We're not alone." The spirals on your arms flared once, as if answering something ahead. The sound echoed faintly at first, muffled by ash and soil. Slow, deliberate steps, one after another, too measured to be the random shuffle of debris. Someone, something, was walking the passage ahead. Aaron raised a hand, signaling you to stay still. His chest heaved with shallow breaths, but his eyes were sharp, alert. The glow of the spirals under your skin dimmed as though trying to hide, but faint flickers of light still pulsed through the ash at your feet, betraying your presence. The footsteps grew clearer, crunching against the thick carpet of ash. Whoever walked there wasn't rushing. They were confident, as if the tunnels belonged to them. Aaron bent close, whispering so low you felt the words against your ear more than heard them. "If it's the house wearing a skin, don't let it touch you. No matter what face it shows." Your stomach tightened. You remembered the double's hand, warm, steady, irresistible. You swallowed hard and nodded. The glow ahead shifted, faint at first, then stronger. A figure stepped into view. It was small, fragile. A child. The boy's hair was matted with soot, his skin pale beneath streaks of ash. He wore clothes decades out of place, short trousers, suspenders, a shirt once white, now gray with age. His eyes gleamed faintly with spiral light, but his face was solemn, not smiling, not cruel. He stopped at the edge of the chamber, and regarded you with an expression too calm for someone his age. "You don't belong here," he said softly. His voice was clear, steady, and strangely kind. Aaron tensed, lifting the shard of stone he still carried. "Don't listen," he muttered. The boy's gaze shifted to Aaron. "You've been here too long. You know you can't leave." His words weren't mocking, just matter-of-fact. "You've given too much already." Aaron flinched as though struck. His knuckles whitened on the shard. The boy looked back at you. "But you..." His head tilted slightly, curious. "You heard it." You said no. The spirals under your skin pulsed, burning faintly at his words. The boy's eyes brightened, catching the glow. He stepped closer, ash swirling around his bare feet. If you want to live, you'll follow me. Aaron growled low, his voice harsh and raw. It's a trick. They all say that. The boy didn't argue. He simply turned, facing the dark tunnel behind him, and waited. The footsteps had stopped, but the choice hadn't. The boy stood patiently at the edge of the tunnel, his small hands clasped in front of him, his back impossibly straight. The glow of the spirals in his eyes dimmed and brightened like a lantern being tested for its flame. He didn't twitch or smile like the choir. He simply waited. Aaron's breath rasped at your side. He gripped the shard of stone tighter, but his hand trembled. It's not real, he whispered, though the words sounded like he was trying to convince himself as much as you. It's just another mask. The house knows what you'll follow. The boy tilted his head at Aaron, not unkindly. You're dying here. You've been dying for years. You know it. His gaze shifted to you, steady and unwavering. But you can still leave. You can take something with you, if you're careful. The spirals along your arms burned faintly, their glow pulsing faster, answering the boy's words as though in recognition. The heat made your stomach turn. Why would I follow you? You asked, your voice raw from dust. The boy blinked slowly, like the question hadn't occurred to him. Because you already opened the door, he said simply. That makes you mine to guide. If you refuse me, you'll wander in circles until the house finds you again. Aaron spat into the ash at his feet. That's exactly what it wants you to think. Every fork's a trap. Every guide's a noose. But when you looked at him, you saw his spirals burning brighter now, not dimmer. The house still had its hooks deep in him. His certainty was cracked. The boy took a step backward into the tunnel, the ash swirling around his legs like fog. He raised one hand, beckoning gently. If you want to live, come. His voice never rose, never broke. Just calm. Certain. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint drip of water and the soft hiss of the roots overhead. Aaron's jaw clenched. We can find another way, he said, though his eyes darted nervously toward the narrowing passage. The boy waited. The spirals under your skin seared hotter. It felt like the house itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what you choose. The boy's silhouette lingered in the tunnel, framed by ash that swirled like smoke around his small form. His spiral-lit eyes held yours, unblinking, patient. The faintest warmth rolled from him, not comforting, exactly, but steady, like the glow of coals that hadn't died. Aaron's hand clamped your shoulder. His palm was clammy, trembling. Don't, he rasped. His jaw worked, teeth grinding. Every path the house offers leads back in. That's how it keeps you. But his voice had cracks now, threads of doubt running through every word. The spirals burning along his arms had brightened, not dimmed. His time here was eating him alive. The boy didn't argue. He simply said, You're not like him. Not yet. His head tilted toward Aaron. You heard it. That means you still carry something the house hasn't swallowed. The spirals under your skin pulsed hard enough to sting. They answered the boy's words, though you hadn't given them permission. Your throat tightened. And if I follow you? Then maybe, the boy said, you'll see daylight again. Aaron shoved himself between you and the child, his eyes wild. Don't listen! His voice cracked, desperation breaking through. I've seen them all, the children, the doubles, the guides. They lead you deeper until you forget what you were. That's all it is. That's all it ever is. The boy's gaze slid past Aaron, fixing on you again. Choose. Before the house chooses for you. The ash at your feet shifted, as though stirred by breath from the soil below. The walls trembled faintly. Somewhere deeper, a groan rose, not a roar of anger, but the low, grinding sound of something immense moving in its sleep. Aaron's grip on your shoulder tightened painfully. Stay with me. We'll carve our own way out. We have to. The boy raised his hand once more, beckoning, then turned to walk deeper into the tunnel. His bare feet left faint spiral glows with every step. The chamber felt smaller with each passing second. The air heavy. The choice pressing. Follow the child's glow. Stay with Aaron in the dark. The house leaned closer, eager for your answer. Ash swirled in the chamber like smoke rising from invisible flames, and the silence thickened until every drop of water felt like a drumbeat. The boy's glow receded slowly as he walked deeper into the tunnel, his spiral-lit footprints fading with each step. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. Aaron's hand dug into your shoulder, hard enough to bruise. "Don't even think about it," he growled. His voice carried a thread of panic now, raw and thin, the kind of fear only someone who had resisted too long could feel. "That thing is a lure. You follow him, you're gone." Your eyes followed the boy's faint glow as it flickered deeper into the dark. The spirals carved under your skin responded, pulsing faster, as though your body recognized him even if your mind didn't. You tried to steady your breathing. "And what if he's real? What if he's not a lure but a way out?" Aaron turned on you, his eyes blazing. "There are no ways out. Don't you get it? I've been here longer than I can measure. The house doesn't let people go. It chews you up or it wears you. Those are the only endings." The words stung, not just because of the despair in them, but because you could see the house's fingerprints crawling up Aaron's arms, faint spirals glowing brighter with each second. He had been strong, so strong, but the house had been feasting on him for years. His certainty was collapsing like old stone. The boy's voice drifted back from the tunnel, calm and steady, though he hadn't turned around. "That's what he believes, because he's already part of it. He doesn't even know what he's given away." Aaron flinched at the words, though he spat in the ash as if to deny them. "Don't you dare!" The ground trembled beneath you, faint but growing. A deep, resonant groan filled the chamber, the sound of something vast stirring beneath the soil. The house was listening, waiting. If you delayed, it would choose for you. The boy's glow flickered further away. Aaron's grip was iron. The air pressed heavy against your lungs. You had to decide. You wrenched your shoulder free from Aaron's grasp. His fingers scraped against your arm, leaving streaks of ash and faint spiral burns where his grip had been strongest. For an instant, his face was naked, fear, rage, and grief all tangled in the same exhausted mask. "I can't stay here," you said, voice low but firm. "Not like you." Aaron staggered back as though struck. His jaw trembled, his eyes bloodshot. For a heartbeat, he looked ready to strike you, to drag you down and pin you to the ash until you bent to his will. But then the fight bled out of him. He turned away, shoulders hunched, his voice broken. "Then you'll die without knowing you're dead," he muttered. You didn't answer. Instead, you stepped into the tunnel after the boy. The glow of his footprints pulsed faintly ahead, guiding you deeper. The air cooled the further you went, damp and heavy with the scent of soil long undisturbed. Roots dangled overhead, twitching faintly like the antennae of some great insect. The spirals under your skin burned hotter, each step dragging you further into their rhythm. The boy's voice floated back to you, steady, measured. "You heard it. That's why it can't swallow you whole. But it will try harder now." "Who are you?" you asked, your voice bouncing off the close walls. The boy didn't slow. "Someone who said no too late." Your stomach twisted. "Are you alive?" He paused then, just briefly, before answering. "Not in the way you mean." The tunnel sloped downward sharply, forcing you to slide on loose soil. Your palms scraped against stone, the faint glow of spirals illuminating carvings along the walls, symbols like those etched into the iron door. Spirals within spirals, but here they were broken, unfinished, scratched apart as if by desperate hands. The boy stopped at the bottom of the slope. He turned, and for the first time his face was fully lit. His eyes still glowed faintly, but tears of ash streaked his cheeks. His voice was calm, but his words cut deep. "This is where you'll decide if you live, or if you stay like me." Behind you, faint but growing, came Aaron's voice, hoarse, furious. "Don't follow him!" And beneath Aaron's cry, the earth trembled again. The house was waking. The chamber at the base of the slope spread wide, its ceiling low and ribbed with roots that pulsed faintly like veins. The floor was layered in ash so thick it rose to your ankles, soft and clinging, the remains of countless others who had walked this same path. The boy stood in the center, small and still, his glow faint but steady. You stumbled to a stop, chest heaving, ash dusting your lips with a bitter taste. The spirals under your skin throbbed painfully, as though eager for whatever came next. The boy raised his hand and pointed toward the far wall. There, half buried in ash, stood another door. Not iron-banded like before, this one was wooden, cracked, fragile. Carvings lined its surface, spirals half-formed, some scratched away, some burned. The wood seemed to breathe faintly, as though alive. "That's the way," the boy said softly. You stepped closer, your legs heavy. "Another door?" His eyes didn't leave yours. "Yes. But this one doesn't open with hands." Your throat tightened. "Then how?" The boy's gaze lowered to the ash surrounding you. "It opens with what you choose to give." The words sank in slowly, terrible in their simplicity. Your stomach turned cold. Aaron's voice echoed faintly down the tunnel behind you, raw and furious. "Don't listen! He wants you to feed it yourself. That's what it wants. Your pieces, your memories, yourself." The boy didn't flinch. "He's not wrong," he said. "But there's no other way forward. If you give the house nothing, it keeps you here forever. If you give it too much, you become part of it. The balance is yours to choose." He stepped closer, his ash-streaked face tilted slightly, solemn. "You've already given some without meaning to. But now you must decide what else to surrender. A memory. A name. A piece of who you are." Your heart pounded. The spirals under your skin seared hot, eager. Behind you, Aaron's voice cracked again. "If you do it, you're lost." The boy's eyes softened, and for a moment, beneath the glow, you saw only sorrow. "If you don't, you'll never leave." The ash shifted under your feet as though the house itself leaned closer, hungry for your choice. The wooden door loomed ahead, fragile yet impossibly heavy with expectation. The unfinished spirals carved into its surface seemed to writhe faintly in the glow of your skin, waiting. The ash at your ankles stirred in lazy spirals, as though the house itself were breathing in time with your heartbeat. The boy stood silent, his eyes steady, hands clasped in front of him like a solemn priest. "It doesn't care what you give," he said softly. "Only that you give. But the wrong offering will hollow you. Choose carefully." Your throat tightened. "What happens if I choose wrong?" The boy's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Then you'll walk through the door, but you won't be the one who steps out." Behind you, Aaron's voice burst from the tunnel, hoarse and furious, closer now. "Don't do it! Don't give it anything! That's the trap." His footsteps crunched through the ash, uneven but determined. "Fight it, damn you! Don't feed it!" The boy didn't look toward him. His gaze stayed on you. "He can scream forever, and it won't matter. The house has already taken too much from him. He doesn't remember what he's lost." Aaron's voice cracked. "That's not true." But there was fear beneath the rage, a raw thread that betrayed him. The spirals under your skin burned hotter, and images surged unbidden through your mind, clear and vivid as dreams. Your mother's laugh, raspy but warm, echoing over a kitchen table. A first kiss in the rain, clumsy, breathless, but alive. The sharp pain of betrayal from someone you once trusted without question. A name, your name, shining in your mind like the last lit candle. The door pulsed faintly, as though acknowledging your thoughts. The boy's voice was calm, patient. "A memory. A name. A wound. Any of these will open it. But once it's gone, it's gone. Forever." Aaron stumbled into view, his face streaked with ash, his spirals glowing too bright. He raised a trembling hand toward you. "Don't you see? That's how it gets in. You let go, it takes root. Every piece you surrender feeds it. Fight, damn it! Don't give!" The boy finally turned to look at him, his expression neither cruel nor kind. "You already gave long ago. That's why you're still here." Aaron bared his teeth, his voice breaking into a ragged shout. "Better to be broken than hollow." The ash shifted again, swirling tighter around your legs, pressing at you to decide. The door waited. The wooden door pulsed like a living heart, its cracked panels straining with the weight of unseen expectation. The unfinished spirals carved into its surface bled faint light, quivering as if eager to drink whatever you offered. Each breath you took came back to you in echoes, not air, but whispers. Give. 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 Your knees weakened under the pressure. The house wasn't asking politely anymore. It was pressing. It wanted something real, and it wanted it now. Aaron staggered closer, his chest heaving, ash sticking to the sweat on his face. His spirals burned too bright, so bright they seemed carved into his bones. Don't, he rasped. Every piece you let go, you'll never get back. You'll walk through lighter, emptier, until nothing's left of you but the house's smile. The boy faced the door, ignoring Aaron's words. His own spirals glowed faint but steady, as if they'd long ago accepted their cost. It's not about keeping everything, he said softly. It's about deciding what you can lose and still remain yourself. Your vision clouded, and the memories rose again, unbidden. Your mother's laugh at the kitchen table, smoke curling from her teacup. The warmth of lips in the rain, clumsy and perfect. A betrayal, sharp as glass, that had carved a scar deeper than any wound. Your name, the syllables heavy with history, the anchor that had carried you this far. Each memory throbbed painfully, shimmering before your eyes like fragile glass. The door pulsed harder at their presence, waiting for you to shatter one. Aaron's voice cracked, almost pleading. Don't feed it. Don't help it. That's how it wins. The boy turned at last, his voice calm but weighted with sorrow. If you give nothing, you stay here forever. The house doesn't need your help, it already has your pieces. But if you want to pass through, you must choose the loss that leaves enough of you intact. The ash rose higher around your legs, spiraling like a slow whirlpool. The house leaned close, its hunger pressing against your chest, your skull. Your fists clenched. You couldn't stall anymore. The door wanted its price. The ash rose higher around your legs, spiraling like a slow whirlpool. The house leaned close, its hunger pressing against your chest, your skull. Your fists clenched. You couldn't stall anymore. The door wanted its price. The door swung inward, revealing a passage steeped in shadow. Something vast breathed on the other side. The price was paid. The way was open. The wooden door sagged open on hinges that screamed like tortured metal, though it had no iron in it. The sound rattled your skull, a chorus of voices stretched thin. A draft rushed out of the dark passage beyond, carrying a stench so old it was almost sweet. Damp stone, rotted wood, iron rusted to flakes. You hesitated on the threshold. The spirals under your skin pulsed in rhythm with the faint glow that bled from the passage, as if the house recognized your payment and welcomed you deeper into its gut. The boy stood at your side, his hands folded in front of him. His glow was faint, but steady. It will be worse from here, he said matter-of-factly, like he was describing rain. The door only leads to where the house keeps what it doesn't finish. Your throat tightened. And that's where I'll find a way out. The boy didn't answer at first. His spiral-lit eyes studied you as though weighing your chances. Then he said simply, "If you keep saying no." Behind you, Aaron lurched forward, his face ashen, his spirals burning brighter than ever. "Don't," he gasped. His voice was hoarse, broken, desperate. "Every step you take, it takes more of you. You think you chose what to give, but the house chose for you. You're already hollowing." You turned to face him. His eyes were wild, his skin streaked with ash and sweat. He looked less like a man and more like the walls themselves, worn, cracked, marked by spirals too deep to heal. The boy's voice cut softly between you. "He can't leave. He doesn't want you to either." Aaron flinched, his jaw clenching. "That's not true." His gaze snapped to you, pleading now. "I want you to fight it, not feed it. Every door you open is another nail in the coffin." The wooden frame groaned, the shadows inside the passage shifting like slow water. Shapes pressed faintly against the dark, writhing just out of sight. The house waited. Your spirals burned hotter, pulling you forward. The memory you'd surrendered was gone, the betrayal erased, but the hollow it left behind ached in your chest like a missing tooth. Aaron's hand reached toward you. Stay. The boy stepped into the threshold. Come! The passage breathed. The breath of the passage clung cold against your skin, damp and heavy like fog. You stepped across the threshold, ash slipping from your boots, leaving pale smears on the stone. The boy moved ahead, his glow faint but steady, illuminating only a few feet at a time. The dark swallowed everything else. Aaron stayed behind, framed in the doorway. His face was pale, torn between fury and grief. If you go in there, he rasped, you won't come back. Not as yourself. The door groaned, sagging as though it might close again. You held his gaze one last moment, the glow of his spirals burning too bright, too deep. Then the boy beckoned softly, and you turned away. The wooden door slammed shut behind you. The tunnel ahead was narrow, its walls slick with black moss that pulsed faintly, breathing with the rhythm of the house. The air tasted metallic, sharp as old pennies. Roots dangled from the ceiling, swaying slightly, though no breeze stirred them. Each one dripped a dark fluid that hissed when it struck the ground. The boy walked lightly, leaving no mark in the moss. His small voice carried back to you, steady, calm. This is where it keeps what it doesn't finish. Fragments. Faces. Memories too stubborn to swallow. Your spirals pulsed harder, the burn crawling into your chest. Images surged through your mind, memories that weren't yours. A woman screaming into darkness. A child calling for someone who never came. A man's last prayer, whispered in the pitch black. They pressed into you, frantic, demanding you carry them. You staggered, clutching your head. What is this? The boy didn't slow. The leftovers. The house spits them out, but never far. They cling to anyone who passes, begging for another chance to live. The tunnel widened suddenly, spilling into a cavern. The walls glistened with moss and root, studded with thousands of faces pressed into the stone. Their eyes opened as one when you entered, spiral-lit and hollow. Their mouths moved, whispering fragments of lives in overlapping chaos. The boy turned to you, his expression unreadable. They will offer you bargains. Do not speak to them. Do not answer. If you do, you'll carry them until you can't tell which memories are yours. The faces whispered louder, their words threading into your skull. Remember me. Take me. Please. The spirals burned hotter, hungrier, as though they too wanted to answer. The cavern pulsed with whispers. The faces pressed into the stone shifted faintly, their cheeks bulging as though they were straining to step free. Eyes rolled toward you in unison, spiral-lit and desperate. Remember me. Take me. Please. Don't let me fade. The voices overlapped, dozens at once, then hundreds, until the sound filled your skull. Your knees buckled, palms pressed hard against your ears. But it wasn't sound. It was inside your head, the pressure of a tide forcing its way in. The boy raised his hand, his glow brightening faintly. The voices dimmed, but only slightly. Don't answer them, he said, his tone sharp for the first time. If you let them in, they'll nest in you. Each one another mouth for the house. You forced yourself upright, the spirals under your skin burning so hot you smelled faint singed flesh. They pulsed in time with the whispers, eager, almost jubilant, as though recognizing kin. One face pressed closer than the rest, a woman's, half buried in stone, her lips split and cracked. Her spiral-lit eyes locked onto yours, unblinking. You know me, she whispered. Her voice was faint but clear above the chaos. You've seen me before. Don't you remember? Your heart lurched. The memory flickered, familiar, yes, but blurred, like a photograph burned at the edges. The house had stolen too much for you to be certain. The boy snapped his fingers sharp. Don't look at her. Don't listen. But the woman's voice threaded tighter into your skull. I'm not like the others. I'm real. If you take me, you'll see what they've hidden. You'll know the way out. Her face strained forward, cracks spreading in the stone around her, as though she might wrench herself free. Ash fell from the wall in drifts. The whispers of the others rose, furious now, demanding, "Take me. Take us. Let us live." The boy moved closer, his glow hardening. "If you answer even one," he said quietly, "the house will never let you go. You'll drown in lives that aren't yours." The woman's cracked lips stretched into a trembling smile. "Just one word," she breathed. "Say yes." Your spirals blazed, desperate to reply. The cavern swelled with whispers until it felt like you stood inside a storm of voices, every syllable pressing against your ribs, clawing at your skull. The faces strained harder against the stone, their mouths opening wider, their spiral-lit eyes unblinking. "Take me. Carry me. I'll give you strength. I'll show you the way out." The woman's cracked lips trembled with each word. Her face was so close now that the stone cracked around her chin, flakes falling to the floor. "You know me," she insisted. "You've dreamed of me. I can help you remember what you've already lost." And for a moment, you believed her. The memory flickered in your mind again, her silhouette in a rain-soaked window, the faint scent of cigarette smoke. Was it yours? Or just one more lie woven from the house's endless fabric? Your spirals burned hotter, a fever under your skin. The pressure to answer nearly bent your jaw open. The boy's glow sharpened, and he stepped closer, voice steady but hard. "Don't speak. Not a word. That's all it takes, one crack in your silence. They'll pour through you until you're just another voice in the wall." The woman's eyes filled with tears of ash, spilling down her face like ink. Her voice trembled. "Please. I don't want to die here. Just say my name. Say yes. I'll make it worth the price." Her desperation twisted the chamber. The other faces screamed louder, their mouths stretching, some tearing wide enough for black ichor to spill. Their words overlapped into a single thunderous chant. "Yes. Yes. Yes." The spirals under your skin blazed like fire, your whole body trembling with the urge to respond. Your tongue pressed against your teeth, your lips twitching. It would be so easy, just one word, and the pressure would end. Aaron's voice flickered in your memory, faint and ragged. "Remember your no." The boy leaned close, his small hand gripping your wrist. His eyes burned with faint spiral light, but there was steel beneath them. "This is the moment. If you answer, you'll be theirs. If you stay silent, they'll break themselves against you. Choose." The woman's cracked lips trembled inches from yours. "Please." Your chest heaved. Your throat burned. The house leaned closer, waiting for your word. The cavern shook with the weight of 1,000 voices, each one clawing at you, begging, demanding, seducing. The woman's cracked face loomed close, her spiral-lit eyes shimmering with tears of ash. Her mouth quivered around the word she craved from you, yes. The pressure in your throat was unbearable, as if invisible fingers were prying it open. Your spirals flared white-hot, burning like brands, urging your lips to part. One word, just one, and the torment would end. But Aaron's ragged voice, buried deep in memory, pulsed through you again. "Remember your no." You clenched your teeth until your jaw ached. Breath tore from your lungs in ragged gasps, but you forced your lips shut. The woman pressed closer, stone cracking around her face, her voice breaking into sobs. "Don't leave me. Don't let me die in here." Still, you said nothing. The boy's grip on your wrist tightened. His faint glow pulsed once, like approval. The faces screamed louder, their mouths ripping wider, ichor spilling from the stone. The cavern ceiling trembled, roots tearing loose. Their chant of yes reached a deafening pitch, then collapsed into silence when your voice never joined them. One by one, the faces sagged back into the stone. Their eyes dimmed, their mouths closing with faint cracks of bone. The woman's face lingered the longest, her spiral-lit gaze locked on yours, filled with sorrow too deep for words. She whispered one final time, so faint only you heard, "You could have saved me." Then she dissolved, her features sliding back into the wall until nothing remained but smooth, damp stone. The silence that followed was worse than the storm. Heavy. Absolute. Your spirals dimmed, their glow flickering weakly like dying coals. For the first time, you felt them recede, retreating deeper under your skin. The boy released your wrist and stepped back, his voice calm, almost reverent. You stayed silent. That means you're still yours. You sagged, every muscle trembling. The ash around your ankles settled. The chamber exhaled. The wall at the far end of the cavern split open with a groan, stone peeling away to reveal a narrow passage lit by faint, natural light, the first you had seen since the house swallowed you. The boy stepped aside, gesturing. Go. The house will not let you leave easily, but the way is open. Your chest heaved. Your legs shook. But the light called, fragile and real. And for the first time since stepping into the house, you dared to believe you might make it out.